towards the tunnel. But it's been very well chronicled, you know, how little in terms of creativity there is. You know, Anthony's not created anything.
No, well, Anthony obviously is on the bench. Fernandes, we know on his day, is a very, very talented footballer, but we don't know what you're going to get from him. And this is Marcus Rashford this season, 1 goal. You know, he got 30 last year. Not being the same player in my eyes this season. You know, he's signed a big long-term contract, but he needs to hit the ground running. He needs to start scoring and making goals.
Yep, needs to be inspired by a match like this. But I think it's interesting with no Anthony. You know, are we expecting Bruno Fernandes to play in a wider position? I have to say that's what I've put down on my team sheet. But
yeah, I think they've set up to say to Fernandes, can you do a bit of magic? Or Rashford, can you do a bit, carry that ball and see that pass or deliver? You know, when we break away, can you be the man to get out of, you know, on the counter-attack? And I think that's what they've lined up as, the pace. And Fernandes and Eriksen's craft, can they release Rashford and hold him through? And this is what he's going to do. They may concede a lot of possession today to City, but they'll be happy if City's not getting behind them. Because if they play high, now just forget to Johnny Evans and Maguire, I think me and John could probably run past them too, pace-wise. So I think they've got to play very deep
at the moment, Chris.
Well, I heard you were coming out of retirement this week, Chris. Did it happen or not? It was in the papers.
Well, no. I have signed for Hallam. They were short of players. They must have been short as me. So I signed in an emergency, but lucky enough they got some players in there. Didn't have to get my boots out.
Erling Haaland has just walked off the pitch here at Old Trafford, and a Manchester United fan actually threw a Manchester United scarf at him. But the problem is he doesn't want it now, and he didn't want it a few years ago when Manchester United tried to sign him. The same is true of Jude Bellingham, who won El Clasico last night. The same is true to an extent of Harry Kane, who scored an amazing goal for Bayern Munich last night. But Haaland is the one, John. You know, there are lots of clubs who will have been disappointed on missing out on him. But when he came to the blue half of the city, and he's been so unbelievably effective and successful, that really rubs it in.
Yeah, although, as we occasionally mention, you know, his dad is such a huge influence on him. So I think there was probably more chance of him signing for Leeds United than there was of him signing
they had him in the building
for Manchester United. But, you know, there's that very, very strong Manchester City connection. I don't know if his dad's here today. I suspect he probably is.
He will be, I'm sure. Let's go back to Anfield in the Premier League. Liverpool, Nottingham Forest. Chris Coles.
Liverpool still in control of this one, Steve. 10 minutes into the second half, they lead by 2-0. They've very much picked up from where they left off in the first half. Salah looking threatening. He'll want to add his name to the goals already scored by Jota and Nunez. Liverpool 2, Forest 0, 56 minutes.
I was thinking, Chris, if Rasmus Højlund needed an example of how sometimes it can take a little bit of time to settle, the best example is probably Rodri. There's a great piece in the Times this weekend which is titled "How Pep Turned Rodri into the World's Best Midfielder," in which it basically says in the Champions League final at 0-0, Pep said to the dressing room, "What is wrong with us? Even Rodri isn't playing well." Even he took a bit of time to show his best self.
Yeah, I tell you what, I agree with that. I think he's the best player in City's team. I know they'll all rave about Haaland's goals and so, and Kyle Walker's an outstanding right back, and so Diaz is sent off. The goalkeeper's unbelievable. You can go through the whole team, can't you? But he's the player who makes them tick. He's the player who dictates the pace of the game. His awareness, he never really fouls, he tackles, he reads the game well, he intercepts well. Modern day is what you need to do. He's a modern day footballer. You know, he's very clever, he uses the ball. You know, he can score more goals because he can strike a ball, he can place a ball. He should, but he does that role in front of the back 3 or 4, whatever the play City sometimes 2. He'll always be the player who's the deepest and starts the moves off and whatever. You know, and when you watch Man City play, teams always talk about stop Haaland, stop Grealish, stop Alvarez, stop Rodri getting the ball. If you stop Rodri getting the ball, Man City have a few problems of how to get the ball from the back 4 into the midfield, then into the attack. But everyone just lets Rodri get about his business, and he's an outstanding footballer.
Well, when he really surprised us was when he ended up getting in that. I don't know what on earth he was doing, getting involved with Gibbs White.
Yeah.
When he got himself sent off, and what happened after that? He didn't play in 3 matches, and they lost all 3.
I think, Chris, with Rodri out of the team, you notice it with Manchester City probably than you would any other player.
Totally agree. And unfortunately for Calvin Phillips, he's never come in, he's never hit the ground running. And when I watched him at Leeds, I thought he's ideal for City. The way he played, I thought ideal for Man City. Sit in front of the defence, dictate the ball, get it, start moves off, what Rodri does. You thought you've got 2 there. And obviously now they're talking about selling Phillips and accepting bids of 50 million, whatever. But yeah, it's strange to say. Everybody always talks about certain players for City, but nobody talks about Rodri. And he's the player who starts most things off. Good things happen with City normally start through Rodri. Nobody ever stops him getting the ball.
A brilliant, bubbling atmosphere inside Old Trafford. The Manchester derby is just over 10 minutes away. Let's go back to the Cricket World Cup. Another wicket, is it, Ali?
Yes, pretty amazing atmosphere in Lucknow as well. Chris Wokes is out and Ravi Jadeja takes one, chips in. It's been a brilliant bowling performance all round by India, but not a great dismissal for Chris Wokes, just trying to force the pace, dancing down the wicket and getting stumped. He was out for 10. Liam Livingstone is still there on 27. England 98 for 7. They need another 132 runs from 21.5 overs. They're just going to run out of batters.
Ellie, thank you very much. Remember, you can get full commentary of that on 5 Sports Extra. Chris Waddle and correspondent John Murray with us here at Old Trafford. You talked about Ederson there briefly, Chris. Let's talk about Andre Onana. Had that penalty save here at Old Trafford to get a vital 3 points late on for Manchester United in the Champions League. That's got to be a springboard for him, hasn't it?
Well, it should give him a massive boost. I mean, the fans, the stadium went mad, didn't it? If you can't get a reaction off that, then that's it. But I think what you'll see is, as Man United as a team, it's easy to single players out, isn't it? But as a team, Man United have been a little bit inconsistent over 90 minutes. You've got to say that. And he has been as well. He's still getting used to the Premier League. This is a different league compared to France, Germany, Italy, Spain. This is where you've got to deal with a lot of balls in the box and a lot of physical contact. And he's getting used to it. You know, we know he's good on the ball. He's took a few risks. He's made a few mess-ups. But he's only going to get better. You know, it's very difficult when you're a goalkeeper and you make a few errors early on because people are straight on your case. But that should have given him a massive boost the other night.
Did even you take a little bit of time to settle when Magic Chris arrived in Marseille?
Oh, it took me 3 months easy.
Really?
Yeah. Different game completely. People say football's football. It's not. The leagues are different. You ask Harry Kane, is the Bundesliga different from the Premier League? He'll say completely. And, you know, it is complete. This is a physical, demanding league, which is 100 mile an hour still. Yes, for all, there's a lot more possession than when I played. It's still a fast league, and it's still about getting the ball forward, getting chances, getting the crowd going. Where abroad, they're quite happy to see you have possession for 20 minutes before you have a shot.
Oh, it's really starting to get loud inside Old Trafford. This is going to be a heck of a Manchester derby. We're under 10 minutes away from kick-off. There's been another goal at Villa Park. Pat Murphy.
It's loud enough here, Steve, because Villa are now 3-0 up, and there's an own goal from the Luton captain, Tom Lockyer. A bit unlucky. Great ball from Kamara inside the full-back to Diaby. Crossed it with his right foot, almost on the goal line in front of the Holt end. Lockyer just couldn't check his impetus, his momentum, and rebounded off him into the net. He was unlucky there, but this is a fair reflection of the game now. Villa 3, Luton 0.
What about at the Amex? Brighton against Fulham. Aaron Paul.
Brighton continuing to hunt for the elusive second goal. Here's Brighton 1, Fulham 0. Mo Daoud, well worked ball into Baleba. He managed to get his shot away, but not enough power behind that one. Marco Silva, he's made a change, or a hat-trick of changes, to try and shuffle his Fulham pack. Rodrigo Muniz, Harry Wilson, Andreas Pereira all on. Fulham are starting to play with a bit of bite in this rain. Well worked move into the box, and there is an equaliser for Fulham, and it's João Paulinho in front of the bank of travelling fans. Fulham have an equaliser. It's another game without a clean sheet for Brighton in the Premier League. Brighton 1, Fulham 1.
And remember, you can listen to full commentary of all of these games via the BBC Sport website and app. I've just seen Johnny Sexton is here this afternoon as well. Of course, the legendary Irish Rugby Union captain who said goodbye to the sport after that incredible effort. Not quite able to get through that quarter-final at the Rugby Union World Cup. It's always a day when you look around and you see faces that you know so well. A few minutes ago I saw Patrice Evra almost fall down the steps. It's a nervy occasion, is the Manchester derby. The teams will be in the tunnel very, very soon indeed, and we will get some really powerful tributes to Sir Bobby Charlton. In fact, they are beginning now. Your commentary team then here inside Old Trafford for the Manchester derby. A huge one, a powerful one, an emotional one. Former England man Chris Waddle and our correspondent John Murray.
Yes, Old Trafford is on its feet in the autumn sunshine, and directly opposite where we sit, and we are in the Sir Bobby Charlton stand, they've already put up the cards on the far side of the ground from us in the lower tier of the Sir Alex Ferguson stand to create a mosaic in black and white, and in the white letters it says simply Sir Bobby. So that is directly at the Sir Bobby Charlton stand, and in the centre circle there are still some ground staff out there on the pitch just doing their final preparations, but in the centre circle a big round canvas, a black canvas with white writing on it which reads Sir Bobby Charlton 1937 to 2023, forever loved. And now Old Trafford welcomes the two sets of players from either side of this famous city here in the northwest of England. The red and the blue, the red of Manchester United, led out by Bruno Fernandes, and the sky blue of Manchester City, led out by Kyle Walker to his left. And as they leave that red extending tunnel in the corner of Old Trafford, above it in the lower tier of the Stretford end, a huge Manchester United flag is being unfurled in three colours: the red at the top, the white in the middle, and the black at the bottom. And there is an image on it of Sir Bobby Charlton. Bobby Charlton as he was then, as the Manchester United captain, in a sweat-stained blue shirt, although it's grainy black and white, the picture, and he's holding up the European Cup. And it says in black writing, Sir Bobby Charlton, the finest English footballer the world has ever seen. And we will also have a ceremony before the start of the match, as we did on Tuesday night here. How fitting it is, I think, this week that the tributes come in a week where Manchester United had a European Cup match on the Tuesday and now a Manchester derby on the Sunday. And the players out there who'll be involved in the match today, just going through the handshakes, but lined up on the side of the pitch, a few of the old greats who played alongside and against Bobby Charlton. From the 1968 European Cup final winning team, John Aston, Paddy Crerand, Alex Stepney and Brian Kidd, who of course played for both clubs. And from the 1968 Manchester City League title winning team, Mike Summerby is down there, and Tony Book, because Manchester is remembering two greats today, not just Bobby Charlton but also Francis Lee, two of the great players that did their stuff in this city. And I see Eric Ten Hag, the Manchester United manager, has just broken ranks actually, and he's stepped up from his position in the dugout and he's walked along the line and he's shaken hands with all six of those men. And before the match begins, they will walk towards the centre circle and the players will gather around the centre spot, around that black canvas, and there will be a minute's applause, a minute's appreciation for Sir Bobby and for Francis Lee as well. But the stadium in great voice here. There is that splash of blue to our right, the Manchester City fans. The image of Sir Bobby Charlton, that flag at the other end of the stadium, it's made its way now almost all the way across the lower tier of the Stretford end. And of course, it is Manchester City who currently hold that trophy.
Sir Bobby was a player who transcended football rivalries. To celebrate his life and career, we will now welcome onto the pitch legends of United and City who played with or against Sir Bobby during a great era for Manchester football. Old Trafford, please welcome Mike Summerby, Tony Book, and your Manchester United greats, John Aston Jr., Paddy Crerand, Alex Stepney, and Brian Kidd.
And those six men now, all in dark suits, make their way towards the centre circle. Mike Summerby leading the way. Mike Summerby was here at Old Trafford this week to sign the Book of Condolence, which is also being signed by Pep Guardiola, incidentally, this week as well, the Manchester City manager, who said, "We will be part of the condolences today."
On the referee's whistle.
Manchester unites, and up in the corner in the Stretford end, that narrow banner that reads Sir Bobby, born in Ashington, made in Manchester. And there's only one Bobby Charlton echoing around Old Trafford as those 6 former men of Manchester United and Manchester City make their way off the field. Emotional stuff, Chris Waddle?
Oh, most definitely. I think growing up, we all wanted to play, we all wanted to be Bobby Charlton and George Best, and you know, what a player. I was lucky enough to meet him doing that advert for a certain beverage, full of encouragement and positive talking. Just a gentleman.
So the players are ready, 2023 style, and Pep Guardiola as well just comes forward and shakes hands with all of those former players who've now made their way down that little slope towards the red brick dugouts. So that canvas just being carried off the field will be underway in a moment, but first another wicket in the World Cup match. Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes, Liam Livingston is out. LBW to Kuldeep Yadav, absolutely plumb, even though he reviewed it. Out for 27, so England's highest scorer in their innings. 101 for 8 in the 31st, the target 230. It's not going to be long before this is all over.
And the 191st Manchester derby begins with Manchester United getting us underway in the red shirts, white shorts and black socks. Immediately the ball played back to Onana and Maguire, two of the heroes of Tuesday night here, and Onana pulling the ball back onto his left foot and then clearing it straight to Guardiola of Manchester City in the centre circle. But Manchester United have got it back. As we welcome listeners as well to join us here on BBC Radio 5 Live, listeners to the BBC's World Service joining us from all over the globe. We've just had a very touching tribute to Sir Bobby Charlton, Francis Lee as well, as Manchester United come forward, and the ball is flicked by Hoyland. Now it makes its way to Rashford. Rashford running at Diaz into the penalty area. Just lays it back then to Eriksen in a central position. Christian Eriksen did well when he came on Tuesday night. Now Dalot with a cross, he's overhit that, and it's beyond the back post, although Lindelof pulls it back over, but before he volleyed it back and it landed on the roof of the net, the ball was behind for what is given as a goal kick. So the Manchester United team, and yes, Bruno Fernandes, Chris, is on the right-hand side here of the front line for Manchester United. So Onana in goal, and the back four of Dalot, Maguire, Evans and Lindelof. So Varane only on the bench. There's no Casemiro. I was hoping he might be fit for this, but obviously not. He's not on the bench either. So Amrabat in the middle with McTominay and Eriksen. It's actually McTominay who's pushed furthest forward of those three. And here is McTominay on the ball now, to the edge of the area, shoots low, but Rodri, I think, just came back and did enough just to make a little bit of contact, so the left foot shot was quite weak and straight through to goalkeeper Ederson.
I've got to say, John, Man United, it started Rashford on the left, Fernandes on the right. Now the surprise for me is Eriksen's playing alongside Amrabat, sitting in front of the back four. It's McTominay who's been told to basically go and play off Rodri. And you can see straight away that McTominay just couldn't get the ball out of his feet. But it's interesting how Man United have set up.
That was an opening for him, and Rodri just went back, just tracked him, didn't he? Eventually got there and actually scuffed the shot left-footed from McTominay, who's been the danger man, hasn't he, with the goals in the last 2 Premier League matches, scoring 3 in those 2 games against Brentford and Sheffield United. Yes, Manchester United, who have won their last 3 matches, but not really entirely convincingly in terms of the performance in any of those matches. And yes, Manchester City have lost their last 2 Premier League matches away from home, but overwhelmingly it feels, everyone assembled here today, well over 70,000 people, I think if you did a straw poll, the vast majority would think that Manchester City will win this one. But we will see. Manchester United won here last season in this match when they were 1-0 down to Grealish's goal. But under Guardiola, City have been here 10 times and they've won 6 of those 10 in all competitions. Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0, with 3 minutes on the clock.
It's a very tactical game already, John. You can see where they've looked at each other's team, analysed it, seen what they thought they were going to play before the game. I'm sure they went through a lot already. You know, the shape of both teams, though, they've counteract each other, and it's going to be very tactical.
Ericsson and Fernandes either side of Grealish, and the ball deflected out of play for what is given as a Manchester City throw. Not entirely universally approved by people sitting behind us in the stand here. The Manchester United team, just to complete that, so Fernandes on the right-hand side, Rashford on the left, Højlund through the middle, but as Chris Waddle says, with McTominay very much pushing up in an advanced position, and Højlund through the middle, still looking for his first Premier League goal. And the Manchester City team, Ederson in goal. Actually, 3 changes from the Premier League team from last weekend, because Ortega played in that, but Ederson playing in this one as he chips it forward nicely to Bernardo Silva, who takes it down, finds Grealish on the halfway line, then back in towards John Stones, who's still easing himself into this season, just his 3rd start for Manchester City of this campaign, as now Diaz plays it forward down the right-hand side for Walker, and then Walker goes for the ball towards the edge of the box. That's blocked by Lindelof. Højlund does well under pressure, releases Rashford on the left-hand side. Diaz and Walker come across. Rashford still in possession, then slips it. No, he wasn't able to slip it forward towards Lindelof. It was blocked by Diaz, but the ball is kept in by Lindelof, who's in an offside position, and he could have let that bounce out of play, but it's given us a free kick to Manchester City. 0-0, Chris Waddle.
Well, I thought Rashford there, he had one-on-one with Diaz. I thought, go on, test his pace. So if he takes it off here, you get a corner minimum out of it. He looked very reluctant to take him on, and the attack phased out.
So the Manchester City team, in terms of who's where, Ederson in goal, Guardiola at left back, and then Stones obviously in this position where, you know, it's a sort of hybrid role. At the moment he's standing well ahead of Diaz, but can drop in there alongside him. And then Kyle Walker on the right-hand side. And then in midfield, Rodri, obviously, with Bernardo Silva and Alvarez centrally ahead of him. Then Foden on the right, Grealish on the left, and Haaland through the middle. Haaland, who has got 45 Premier League goals in his 44 Premier League appearances, in contrast to the Scandinavian at the other end of the field. Mind you, there's a few years between them. Haaland 23 and Højlund still just 20. But here's Onana at the back. Onana, who under no particular pressure as Grealish arrives, just again knocks the ball from foot to foot and then clears it through the middle. Højlund, the blonde-haired Dane, chests that down. McTominay speeds away, gives the ball to Dalot just down in front of us. Both managers on the edge of their coaching areas just now, as Maguire goes back towards the edge of the penalty area. Harry Maguire now starting 4 matches in a row, as the ball is played by Onana out towards the left-hand side. Lindelof is there, so Reguilon only on the bench today. He had some uncertain moments against Copenhagen the other evening. Swept forward by Onana, hit forward by Amrabat, but that's just giving possession back to Manchester City as the sun just disappears for the time being. 3:30 kickoff here in the UK, this one, as the ball is played through the middle by Alvarez for Grealish, who's in a central role, looks to his left, plays it for Bernardo Silva, who's having to really stretch his legs to keep this in, but he does. Just in front of the tunnel at Old Trafford, Bernardo Silva, the bearded Portuguese, gives it back to the bearded Croatian behind him. Guardiola, then square from Stones. Rodri in a central area, middle of the Manchester United half. Rodri then takes it forward. Bernardo Silva's got space here, but chooses not to cross. His international teammate Bruno Fernandes closes him down. Back towards Rodri, angled ball over the top, looking for the run of Walker, who heads it back. Foden with a header, saved by Onana. Haaland on the goal line, couldn't force it over the line. And Maguire, just next to the post, stabs it away. A very relieved man. Haaland, I'm not sure how he wasn't able to force that in, but Maguire stabbed it away.
What a ball by Rodri, diagonal ball. Kyle Walker, didn't look like he was going to get there. Brilliant header across, and this to say, how's Haaland not scored there? That should be 1-0.
Well, Haaland in that position, what was he, 3 yards out? And Onana did well, actually.
Give the keeper a lot of credit.
Yeah, after making the initial save. Here's the corner into the back post, but headed away by Manchester United. 2 United players end up in a heap together, Johnny Evans and Maguire, but Maguire's getting a big slap on his back for his role in heading that away. So well defended Manchester United, but Manchester City could easily be 1-0 up. However, Onana made the saves, and that second claw away just when Haaland was stretching out a leg to try and force it over the line. So still Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0 here at Old Trafford. But the 2 o'clock kickoff's still underway. After our earlier match finished West Ham 0, Everton 1, as we'll just see Johnny Evans deal with this, which he does at the back. And let's go to Anfield. Chris Coles.
Mo Salah has his customary Anfield goal to give Liverpool a third gift. Miscommunication between goalkeeper and defender. Salah races through, taps it in. Liverpool 3, Forest 0, 12 minutes to play.
Yeah, you're able to hear all 5 of these Premier League matches today from BBC Radio. The others are all on the website. Grealish now into the penalty area. Bernardo Silva trying to find a way through. Very congested in there, and it's just cleared away, just hit away, right-footed by Maguire towards the halfway line. Let's go back to Brighton, Fulham. Aaron Paul.
Brighton 1, Fulham 1. Brighton shell-shocked by João Palhinha as equaliser for Fulham. Roberto De Zerbi very, very frustrated by his team's wastefulness. They're on the hunt for a winner. Brighton 1, Fulham 1.
And straight to Villa Park, Pat Murphy.
It's Villa 3, Luton 1. Just now, Villa have conceded a daft own goal. Ezri Konsa heading it back over Martinez, the goalkeeper's head, struck the bar and then trickled over the line. Everybody's commiserating with Konsa, but Emery will be furious that they're not going to have a clean sheet. It's Villa 3, Luton 1.
So you can listen to the closing stages of all of those matches, those 3 matches, the commentary available on the football pages, via the football pages of the BBC Sport website. But this still Rangers 0, Hearts 1 incidentally as well in the 3 o'clock kickoff in the Premiership after Kilmarnock beat Aberdeen 2-0 earlier. Manchester United with Højlund gets the ball back in the centre circle. Højlund tries to play it forward, but it came off the back of Guardiola, and there's Bernardo Silva in just behind Scott McTominay to just get a touch on the ball to take it away, and Manchester City are able to clear. So Manchester United in possession. And just before we hear from Chris Waddle again, very fitting to hear the fact that Sheffield Wednesday won today, beating Rotherham by 2-0. Goals and a win for Sheffield Wednesday. It's been a long time. But Chris, what about this Manchester derby? Manchester United have shown that they have got a little bit of a threat going forward already in this match.
I think they've set up to play counter-attacking football, and they've just got to use the ball better when they get it. They're giving it away too cheaply. They've got to relax when they get it. It's all right shape they've got now. Look, you can see them all. They're all stopping little angles for Man City, which they love to play. Well, it's when they get the ball, you've got to relax and enjoy it. And at the minute, City enjoy the ball, but United are doing a job on them, stopping them playing a bit. But when they get it, they're not relaxed.
Walker playing the ball over the top, down the right wing for Foden, who is being chased by Lindelof, who I'm not sure if he did just put his hand on his back as the two of them raced together. He did, just on his shoulder, and as a result Foden actually deflected it through and behind for a goal kick. Not a foul, he just sort of
no, it wasn't a foul, he just touched him, and to be fair, he had a bad first touch, didn't he? So he'd look for the foul, he's not going to get it.
So Onana clears from the edge of the 6-yard box, long over the halfway line, straight at Guardiola. It wasn't a Manchester United player, probably within 15 yards of Guardiola, who was able to say thanks very much, we'll have the possession of the football back. The yellow ball, now that the clocks have changed, the high-vis ball, just as well, otherwise we wouldn't be able to see it. Here's Grealish into the penalty area. Grealish dropping his shoulder, then playing it back, and he's played it straight to Højlund. And Højlund runs away for Manchester United. He's all on his own. He's got a lot to do. He's got no teammates. He's got Guardiola and he's got Diaz, but he's held it up well, and he gives it square to Eriksson. Sky blue shirts coming back all the time. And Manchester United, you can hear the groans. The home supporters feel that United haven't been able to take advantage of this in the way that they might have done. And Scott McTominay now with the ball on the left wing was looking to win a throw-in, and Foden puts in the challenge, and now Alvarez is bringing the ball away, but then just plays it downfield and gives it back to Manchester United.
I felt for the lad, Højlund. He breaks well, John. He does everything right, but he looks at the pass, and we're bang on line with him. As he gets the, is he going to release or not? The pass was not on, and he had to delay it. And I know Rashford put his hands up as if to say, play it. It wasn't on at the time. So
Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0, with 13 minutes on the clock. When there were 13 seconds on the clock at Wembley, Manchester City were already in front in the cup final. The last time these sides met, that ended up to be a narrow affair. The win here for Manchester United last season was a narrow affair, late goals from Fernandes and Rashford. But then remember what happened on the other side of Manchester when really, United, even though the final score was 6-3, Manchester United were absolutely mullered that day, and Haaland and Foden both scored hat-tricks. But that was last season. This is Højlund through the middle, who is fouled, and Diaz is not very happy about that. He had his arms kind of around the top of his body.
It's a foul, John. He backed in well, he's a strong boy, and Diaz had to foul him. He brought him down, and it's a free kick to Man United in the centre circle.
Yes, it was Højlund night the other night on Tuesday when he started the match, and one of his twin brothers came on as a substitute for Copenhagen right at the end. But he's making his presence felt there already against Diaz, and now here he is again, managing to force the ball out towards the right-hand side. Dalot will go back towards the halfway line. So Maguire and Evans together as the central defenders. And Maguire picks out the pass to Dalot on the right wing. Bernardo Silva comes across, but Dalot is able to move inside and past him and give it to Bruno Fernandes, who then just rolls the ball back into the centre circle. Johnny Evans back to Maguire. Manchester United going backwards, so we can bring in Eleanor Oldroyd again with more news on England's fate, I suspect, not too far away in the Cricket World Cup.
Absolutely, 122 for 9. Adil Rashid is the latest man out. 4 wickets for Mohamed Shami. Clean bowling, Adil Rashid. He was out for 13. Willie's on 9. 230 the target. England 122 for 9.
And the last knockings of that, if you want to hear it, then that is on Sports Extra right now, live from India, live from Lucknow, and every match of that World Cup provided for you by BBC Radio Sport, and a podcast as well from India every day via BBC Sounds. But this is 5 Live and the World Service, watching Manchester City come forward. Foden now over on the right-hand side, gives it out towards the right flank. Alvarez is there, then back towards Foden again. Square from Rodri to Stones. Stones now works it to Grealish. Left corner of the box into the area. Bernardo Silva with a little run to the dead ball line, chips it across, headed away, and then Rodri arriving on the edge of the box, got right underneath that volley and sent it almost halfway up the Stretford end. Goal kick.
It's Old Trafford, not Twickenham, but no, I think City, you can see how they're a dominant team. The Man United are just waiting for that opportunity where they can nick the ball off them and break and use the ball well, and that's the way they're going to score. But I just think City should be playing a little bit quicker. They're playing too slow, and they let Man United get the shape back very easy.
So it's a goal kick to Manchester United that Anana actually lets Evans take along the corner of the 6-yard box, and then passes it out into the full-back position to Lindelof, and then back it comes across the penalty area to Anana again. What about the selection, Chris, of Grealish rather than Doku, who's on the bench?
Very surprised. I know Grealish uses the ball well, and he gives them a bit of balance on the step. I say Doku's good, in good form, and he takes people on, and he's got to fancy his chances against Dalot, right? But he's good. He's great off a standing sprint. He's very tricky, and at the minute City are just playing in front of United, and they need someone who's going to take the ball behind them.
I suspect we'll see him though, won't we, at some point today? You would have thought. Haaland has controlled the ball near the centre circle, but he was fouled. He was upended by Amrabat, sent flying, so that is a free kick to Manchester City, forward of the centre circle. Just the beginnings of darkness now, grey clouds beginning to appear over the top of Old Trafford as City take the free kick out towards the left-hand side to Guardiola. Grealish then back to Bernardo Silva. Grealish again, angles it. Bernardo Silva runs down into the right-back position. Left foot, first-time cross. That's headed up and away by Maguire, and headed further away by Højlund. But all of the Manchester United players back in their defensive third. Yeah, there is a feeling that if Manchester United are to get anything out of this today, it will have to be a really hard-working performance. No Casemiro, who obviously is not yet fully fit after his injury on international duty. Here's Rodri with the ball halfway inside his own half. Now Bernardo Silva, who drops back almost into the left-back position. Bernardo Silva. Guardiola will return it again to Bernardo Silva, just caressing the ball with his left foot and playing it back to Diaz.
Well, we know City are great in possession, but Man United will think, hey, you can have it. You're not hurting it. You're not getting behind it. Yeah, you can keep the ball.
That's Chris Waddle, once Britain's most expensive footballer, and we're watching Jack Grealish, once Britain's most expensive footballer, taking the throw.
Now without any socks up.
Chris, if only you'd been sold for £100 million. But times change. Here's Guardiola. That's inflation for you. Guardiola now to the left-hand side, to Grealish again. Grealish to the edge of the box, to Alvarez, but it bounces away. And I think the final touch was, oh yes, it was, off a Manchester United man on the edge of the area. It's bounced away for quite a cheap corner, actually, as it bounced off Alvarez. It came off Dalot in his stride. So that took it behind for the corner from the left. In front of the tunnel there at Old Trafford, that Alvarez is going to take. This is a big aerial threat from Manchester City. Those big men, Diaz and Haaland, Stones in there as well, Rodri too, all advancing into the 6-yard box. But it's actually taken short and then steered back to Grealish. Grealish near the corner of the box, comes infield, right foot shot, curls in, Onana goes down and pushes it wide of goal and behind for another corner to City.
That's a good bit of play by Grealish. He's in for the far post, gets corner of the box, wraps his right foot round it. It's not going in. Goalkeeper doesn't know that, but it's a good ball because anybody gets across the goalkeeper, slightest touch, it's a goal. It's another corner.
Yep, corner from the right this time, but it will also be Alvarez who takes this. Grealish yet to get off the mark this season in terms of goals. That's certainly one area that he could do with improving his end product in terms of goals. So Alvarez with the latest Manchester City corner to the back post. Bernardo Silva got his head to it, but well defended actually by Dalot, I think it was, putting the challenge in on Bernardo Silva. But City pick up possession again. Middle of the half, in it goes, right-footed towards the edge of the penalty area, but Manchester United clear. Eriksen, Manchester City back in possession. If you've just switched it on 5 Live or the World Service, the latest scores in the other Premier League matches currently underway as the ball is played through, but all the way through. It was John Stones who was chasing it, but it was all the way through for a goal kick. The other latest scores in the Premier League: Aston Villa winning 3-1 against Luton, on course for another victory. Brighton 1, Fulham 1, Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Not long to go there, and I think it's all over now for England at the Cricket World Cup. Eleanor Aldroyd.
Yes, India won by 100 runs. England all out for 129. Brilliant bowling from the whole Indian bowling attack. Really the highest scorer, 27 for Liam Livingstone. But England had a bit of hope when they needed only 2/3 to win. But India win again, and England lose 5 out of 6 as well.
So more on that on Sports Extra, and of course more here on 5 Live when we'll, I'm sure, hear the interviews later in 5 Live Sport and on the World Service. Manchester City winning a free kick, right of centre, halfway inside Manchester United territory. It was Amrabat with a challenge on Foden, just a bit clumsy really, not a great deal in it. There were hands on body and Foden went down. So it's a free kick for City as they attack towards the Stretford end. So an opportunity here for Manchester City from the set piece. It's left to Alvarez, right-footed and in, and Diaz was after it, well headed away actually for Manchester United, comes back and is cleared away by Maguire. So straight to Ibrox, Gavin Wallace.
And James Tavernier has just hit the post on from a penalty spot. Todd Cantwell was upended by Frankie Kent and it went straight to the penalty. Referee John Beaton said as Tavernier steps up, he cracked it off the outside of Xander Clark's left-hand post as we hurtle towards half-time. Rangers 0, Hearts 1.
Doesn't miss many penalties, Tavernier. The full-time whistles are going in the 2 o'clock kickoffs. In fact, I think it is over at Villa Park, Pat Murphy.
It is. Villa have won 3-1. McGinn, Diaby, an own goal from Lockyer made it 3-0. And then Konza's back-headed to Martinez, struck the bar and the keeper, so it goes down as a Martinez own goal. Villa 3, Luton 1.
So 3-1 to Aston Villa. We'll have interviews, reaction from all of these matches during the course of the afternoon. We'll be to Brighton and Liverpool shortly as soon as the final whistles go. But the referee, Paul Tierney, is... He's been called, I think, to have a look at the screen. And there is a penalty check going on. Well, Harry Maguire has gone across and he's saying, Harry Maguire is saying, is it me? Pep Guardiola has called all of the Manchester City players over, and Paul Tierney has walked over here to the side of the pitch and is looking. Well, on the screens here it just says checking penalty, possible foul inside the Manchester United penalty area. So this is a potential penalty for Manchester City, and is it a tug on Rodri?
Highland on Rodri.
Is there enough in that?
Well, listen, John, we see this every game. I mean, every game. Everybody's holding everybody, and you don't get it.
It's an arm on the side of his body.
Well, it's going to be harsh because they don't normally get it. Even though they are pens, really, you don't get them.
Well, the video assistant referee, who's Michael Oliver, one of the best around, Michael Oliver has drawn Paul Tierney's attention to this. And normally, when a referee has a look at it, yep, there is the rectangle, and there is the penalty award from the referee. That is given as a penalty. I have to say that's quite a soft one. The referee's clearly not seen that. It came from VAR. It's for Highland. It's an arm on the side of the body of Rodri. I mean, Highland can't believe it. And Manchester United continue to complain about this. Johnny Evans walking after referee Tierney, but it's a penalty to Manchester City, Chris Waddle.
Well, it's a soft one, as I say. Every game you watch, every division, people are holding on to players. They're not watching the ball. Players go down and the referee always says play on. And that's why I'm very surprised he's given that. If they do it every corner and every free kick, you'll get at least 10 pens a game. Now, I'm very surprised he gave that.
But give it, he has. And Erling Haaland obviously scored 2 penalties this season, but he has missed one as well. Missed one against Sheffield United.
And the goalkeeper saved one the other night.
Yes, Onana, who remember how he dived to his left to keep out Jordan Larson. Now he has to face Erling Haaland. 11 goals this season, 2 of them from the penalty spot. Haaland stands over the ball. Huge presence in front of the Stretford end. And Andre Onana is messing around. Yeah, it's a yellow card. Paul Tierney was having absolutely none of that. Onana went and walked away to get his water bottle, and referee Tierney couldn't get the yellow card out quickly enough. So Onana is now on his goal line. Saved the penalty at the other end on Tuesday night. What about tonight? Haaland sends him the wrong way. Manchester City score. Haaland scores here at Old Trafford. He punches the air in front of the Stretford end. A really harsh penalty call. VAR called it, but Manchester City have scored it, and with 25 minutes gone, it's Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1.
That was a great pen, got to say. Sent the keeper the wrong way, a little bit of pressure on him, into the Stretford end. He kept his calm, sent him the wrong way, give him the eyes. Excellent pen, but it's a very harsh decision. And in modern football, you see at least 10 of them, 20 of them never awarded in a game over the weekend. Very surprised to give it.
First Manchester City penalty at Old Trafford since April 1992. It is being claimed. So Onana couldn't save this one. He went to his right, having gone to his left against Larson on Tuesday night, but Haaland buried it low into the bottom corner, and it is Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1. And what was also interesting, a little side issue going on there on the side of the pitch. Well, I'll tell you about that in a moment, because the final whistle's gone at Anfield. Chris Coles.
Liverpool back up to third and 3 points behind leaders Spurs. A comfortable afternoon's work. 3-0 winners over Forest. Jota and Nunez in 4 first half minutes. Salah added a third 10 minutes from time. A fair reflection of Liverpool's dominance. They've beaten Nottingham Forest by 3-0.
Thank you, Chris. Some more to come on that as well later. And yes, that last Manchester City penalty against Manchester United here back in 1992, scored by Keith Curle in a 1-1 draw 31 years ago. So it's been a long time coming, decades coming, but I think it's certainly a talking point as to whether it should have come at all.
Well, listen, it is a foul. I'm not saying it's not, John, but there's no consistency on it. That's what annoys people. You see that in every division and everywhere, and they never blow the referees. They're never even interested. And all of a sudden he says, come and have a look at VAR. Bizarre.
Yes, I must say I was watching the pictures of the Wolves-Newcastle match last night, and I saw several that I thought, actually, if you called that, that's probably a penalty. But they weren't. Oh, and Onana now with a poor touch inside his 6-yard box, had to turn very quickly and get the ball away, and Alvarez almost caught him, but not quite, and Onana was able to take it away. So Manchester City back in possession again inside the Manchester United half. Foden goes the full 360 degrees, and Manchester City go back into the centre circle. So full time at Brighton against Fulham. Aaron Paul.
Brighton 1, Fulham 1. Roberto De Zerbi's side will be frustrated not to have taken all 3 points here. They led for the majority through a first half. Evan Ferguson's strike, but João Palhinha's stunning right-footed shot has nicked a point for Fulham. Brighton 1, Fulham 1.
And it remains Rangers 0, Hearts 1 in the 3 o'clock kickoff, with Rangers missing a penalty in that one. But Erling Haaland didn't miss his penalty here. Hat-trick against Manchester United last season, and that is now 46 goals in the Premier League in 45 appearances, with power to add. Haaland now, blonde haired, tied up, battling for the ball, but Manchester United come out with it, and Maguire sends a long pass forward towards Fernandes. It's played back by Rodri to Ederson, who's very quickly out towards the edge of the penalty area and clears it to the halfway line. Yes, what I was going to say was, Chris, while referee Tierney was looking at the screen on the side of the pitch, you know, Pep Guardiola clearly was not happy with the way that Manchester City had started this match in terms of the way that they're playing, and he was specifically speaking, I noticed, to John Stones and Kyle Walker.
I just think the tempo they came out, they were passing the ball, they had a lot of possession, but it was slow, and Man United could easily get a good shape about them and frustrate them. They've got up the tempo. If you move that ball a lot quicker, you see the rewards you get.
Just looking at the replay again of the jostling that led to the penalty. I mean, there's Maguire on Stones as well on the edge of the penalty area, but I think it was given for Højlund on Rodri. He sort of put his arm onto the side of his body, and Rodri went down.
He did have a hold of him, and he went down, and he's took the percent. Normally, as you say, you don't see them. There's no consistency.
So anyway, the goal was given, penalty was given, and the goal was scored by Haaland, and it is Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1. And Onana, there's a little bit of a breakdown in communications between him and Maguire when the ball was in the middle of the penalty area, and Grealish about 5 yards away from it, but Onana was there, and the ball breaks forward for Højlund, and now Rasmus Højlund, this is his big chance. Goalkeeper comes out, but he takes it wide. There was a deflection there, defenders in as well. Højlund's ball in, Fernandes with the shot over the near post and behind, and the opportunity was there, and the opportunity's gone.
Well, you're not going to get many today, and unfortunately his touch let him down. You can see at times he's got to work on that, and that'll develop with him because he's a young player. He's got to learn to look after the ball, better touch. He's not going to get a better chance. He's quick, he's strong, he should have banged on in goal, but his touch took him right, and the chance had gone.
There were defenders. Ederson was very quickly out as well, but he was away from them. Stones put his hand on his shoulder as well, caused him to stumble, and as Ederson came out feet first, the touch took it past, but beyond, too wide. And it is still 1-0 to Manchester City, who attack now with Grealish, and here's Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side, back centrally towards John Stones. Stones rolls it square, Walker is there. Walker now to Foden on the right-hand side. Floodlights beginning to take effect here at Old Trafford. Foden back to Rodri, and then to the right-hand side to Walker, infield towards Foden, who turns, he's on his left foot. Manchester United have got a packed penalty area though, defending it. Grealish pulls the ball down after receiving it on the left flank, slips the ball through the legs of Dalot into the area. Foden's come all the way across here, but Foden couldn't find the return pass to Grealish, and it's deflected behind off Foden for a goal kick.
Well, I think Man United are doing a job, I've got to say, defensively. At times when it goes back to and out of the goal, everybody gets a bit nervous. You don't know what he's going to do with it. But they've got to sort of be a bit braver, Man United, and when they get the ball, they've got to want it and really be, you know, if it means passing to somebody who's marked, you've got to accept it and you've got to control it. You know, at the minute they just think we're doing a job on City, we're getting behind the ball, we're frustrating, but you've got to start playing when you get the ball. You've got to relax and go and enjoy it.
Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1, on a day when we've seen wins in the Premier League for Everton. What a big win that was for them, particularly with the stories doing the rounds this week about a possible 12-point deduction for Everton. So more to come on that. Aston Villa, another good win for them against Luton. 3-1 the final score. Liverpool winners 3-0 against Nottingham Forest, and Brighton 1, Fulham 1 the final score. Here's Guardiola on the left-hand side for Manchester City, carrying it forward. Bernardo Silva comes across. Bernardo Silva back to Guardiola, who's continued his run into the full-back position on his left foot, drives it across but wide of the near post and behind for a goal kick. So just over half an hour played, no question about the big talking point of the match. I mean, Haaland had a very good chance in the early stages when Onana saved well, but the penalty that came from a VAR decision, Paul Tierney, who was the referee for the FA Cup final, if you remember, at the end of last season, Paul Tierney called across and agreed with Michael Oliver's judgment. Clearance from Onana. Stones leaps high. Amrabat heads it forwards. Plays it forward, but straight at Stones. Groans from the home supporters.
Yeah, because, John, the simple reason is when Man United do intercept or win a tackle or win the ball, they don't pass it to a red shirt forward. It's always back to square, and if they do play it forward, it's just kicked into space. The Man City players are picking up. They've got to be a lot braver. We've not saw Rashford in the game. Never saw him at all in this game.
Yeah. What one run early on in the match, but Manchester United just haven't been able to get him involved. So 1-0. At 1-0, Manchester City have got Manchester United exactly where they want them, and they're playing the ball around nicely. Good confidence, they're in control. Guardiola all the way back towards Diaz, who just allows it to run. No Akanji today, he's suspended after his red card against Brighton last weekend, but Diaz comes back in from the team that started that match at the Etihad Stadium. And when you can bring in Diaz for Akanji, you're not too badly off, are you? Here's Bernardo Silva to the left-hand side. Grealish now just hops into the air, hair bobbing, then plays it back to Bernardo Silva, who tried to flick it forward with his heel, but Dalot blocked that. Comes back to Stones, and then Guardiola back towards Diaz in the centre circle. Diaz through the middle this time, low to goal scorer Haaland. Bounces from Stones, but back to Rodri. Always seems to come back to sky blue. Foden, then to Alvarez. Alvarez in the full-back position, curls it across. Oh, only half cleared by Maguire, and then scramble clearing behind. Grealish was right there, but it was panic stations for a moment. But Manchester United got it away.
What was Harry Maguire trying to do? He's missed it by not an inch. It's about a foot. That could have proved costly. It could have been a handball on Dalot. But Manchester City, every one of their players in a blue shirt wants the football. Now, you can't say that about Man United.
That could have looked absolutely horrible for Manchester United. Maguire missed his header. It hit Dalot. That could easily have dropped to Haaland. And if it scored that... Here comes the corner. That's headed away. Johnny Evans took command of that one. The 35-year-old Johnny Evans up high to head it away. But it didn't fall for Manchester City, so it's still only 1-0. Diaz plays it out towards the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva then back towards Guardiola, who just turns on the ball. Half-time, less than 10 minutes away, plus added time. Guardiola, and now Rodri is there. Rodri under pressure finds the ball to Grealish, who is then upended by Johnny Evans. Just mistimed it, came in and sent Grealish spiralling into the air and down onto the pitch, and it's a free kick near the corner of the penalty area.
That's a definite free kick. Johnny Evans was very late, but again, City just dominating possession. Every blue shirt when the ball, apart from the goalkeeper, everybody wants that ball. They're making angles. You've got so many options when you pick the ball up for Man City. I can't say that in Man United.
So it is a free kick to Manchester City, just outside the penalty area on the left-hand side. Foden and Alvarez are in discussions. I was reading an article about Alvarez this week in the current edition of World Soccer, all about how he came through in South America when he was playing for River Plate. Marcelo Gallardo, the manager there, how he shaped him. And he seems like he's very lucky to have had Marcelo Gallardo and Scaloni, of course, with Argentina, and now Guardiola with Manchester City. Important figures. Here is Alvarez, who curls it in towards the near post, and Onana comes across and gets both hands to it. A comfortable enough save to push it up and over the top corner, and then I think he actually bounced into the post, but it's another corner.
Well, he had two options, didn't he? I thought he was going to fizz it low into that big space, even for the far post, let somebody get across it. Mate, it went straight in, but he's elected to go near post high, and it's a comfortable save. It's just simple, push it over the bar.
Yep, so another corner. Manchester City 1-0 up and in control. Alvarez takes this one. It's another one swung in there, headed away by Maguire. I must say, even though there was that little slip a few moments ago, this is the sort of defending that Maguire normally relishes. City comes in again. Diaz gets up and heads it, but well wide, and it drops behind for a goal kick. So if Manchester United are going to figure in this, in terms of getting something out of this, Chris, What are they going to do? Just hang on in there?
I can't see him changing it. Who can you bring on? Martial? Well, you know, Mount. There's not a lot, Anthony. There's not a lot there. We're in Spurs, isn't it, to say you can go on and change your format. I think you'll just have to stick with this and maybe gamble in the last 15-10 minutes if it's still 1-0. But City, as we expected when we came here, John, we said City would dominate the football. Man United's offered very little going forward.
They have most of this match. We've been looking towards the Stretford end, haven't we, to our left. That's Chris Waddle. This is 5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. And now here's Grealish again as Manchester City sweep forward once again. He's into the penalty this time. He dances past Bruno Fernandes and then shoots, and that takes a flick off. I think Amrabat, who was in front of him, which took it wider away. And it's yet another corner. I think this is number 6.
Oh, you know Grealish loves to come inside on that right foot. I've not seen him kick the ball with the left foot, actually, so he comes inside all the time. And I was just looking, John, you know, how many times has Jack Grealish had one-on-one this first half? At least 15. You give Doku that ball, one-on-one, he's at the byline, he's around it, he's gone.
So it's another corner for Manchester City. Right-footed in-swinger, Alvarez raises his left arm, lots of movement in the 6-yard area, comes into the back post, Maguire's underneath that to stoop and head it away, but it comes out to his England teammate Kyle Walker, the Manchester City captain, a little short with the pass to Foden, who is under pressure from Højlund, but it bounces back for Walker. Grealish leaps, keeps it in play against Bruno Fernandes, and then Alvarez flicks it back, and the referee rather belatedly has brought this back for the challenge by Bruno Fernandes on Grealish. And Fernandes comes across, shrugging his shoulders, putting his palms apart towards the referee.
It was a foul. It wasn't. I mean, Jack Grealish has made a lot of it. He's just ran under. He's not even looked at the ball, Fernandes. I don't know what he's complaining about. It's a foul. Grealish should get up straight away, to be honest, but it's a foul.
So more at half-time on 5 Live and the World Service, I'm sure, on the earlier results in the Premier League. All 5 of the matches today, you've been able to hear the commentary from BBC Radio Sport. 1-0 Manchester City lead. The champions looking to move back level on points with Arsenal. Tottenham will still lead the Premier League. Chris, one of your old clubs. Here's Rodri. Manchester City were top of the league at the start of the week. So on Monday morning, Manchester City were top, but Tottenham, of course, have played twice this week and won 2 matches. Here is Foden on the right-hand side. Think they can sustain it, Chris, Tottenham?
We're talking about Tottenham, aren't we? I'd love to say
New Tottenham.
Well, Leicester did it. Nobody thought they would. They kept saying every month they wouldn't do it, and they did it. But we'll see what happens.
Guardiola gives it to Bernardo Silva. Now Grealish on the left-hand side. Grealish running his foot over the ball. He's against Dalot. Goes past him in fire. Little ball in towards Foden. Now back to Grealish on the edge of the area. Amrabat, though, is in there with a challenge. Comes out with the ball and then he's bundled over by Foden. And that's a free kick to Manchester United. And Amrabat didn't like that. He's up and he puts his head together with Phil Foden, who stood his ground. And Amrabat leaned into him. Phil Foden's now scampered away as quickly as he can towards the far side of the field, but Paul Tierney's having none of that. He's saying, just you come back here, and he's going to speak to both of them. Might be a yellow card for both, possibly.
What is he going to say?
Don't do it again?
Well, there you go. What was the point of that? He made him run 50 yards to say...
Yellow cards.
Oh, yellow cards. Wow.
Cards for Amrabat and Foden for that. So free kick to Manchester United, though, after the foul from Foden. So free kick that referee Tierney is forcing Harry Maguire to take back 3 or 4 yards. The home supporters, you know how it is now. All of those fans, so many of those fans will have been able to see the decision. They'll have seen that on their devices in the stands here. The decision of the award of the penalty. They'll be unhappy about it. There'll be a chorus of boos at half-time, and you know, maybe it means that Manchester United will have a cause in this match, which can be a factor. But they'll have to get a hold of the football first of all.
This is the hard part, isn't it? I mean, you could look at it and take Amrabat off because he's been booked and put McTominay back and bring on Mount. Will it improve them? Mount's not having a great journey at this football club since he arrived, is he? So I don't think there's a lot he can do.
City come forward again down the right and win it. Rather a cheap corner, actually. It just deflected off Lindelof. So corner number 7, I think this is, for Manchester City. Manchester United have had 0, and Alvarez waiting to take this. And the thing is as well, Manchester United know that they're on it today. The officials are on it in terms of, you know, impeding opponents. They couldn't possibly give a second one, could they? Alvarez takes the corner. It's a deep one. Rodri arriving, but Rashford got his head to it and glanced it away out of play for a throw-in next to or near the tunnel. Bernardo Silva is across to take it. Bernardo Silva is actually going to leave it to Guardiola, who trots forward. Played most of his football for Manchester City so far as a full-back. You would think in time he'll very much be a central defensive regular, as Bruno Fernandes is claiming that he was impeded by Alvarez. Referee allows play to continue. They're both back on their feet. Walker near the byline, plays it across, but Johnny Evans was there with Haaland behind him. Evans just with his right foot puts it behind for another corner, number 8 for Manchester City.
You know what, John, I think City will go in, you know, I don't know how long we'll play, what, 2-3 minutes extra I would think, but they'll go in thinking this game should be finished, the amount of possession they've had.
Corner then, yet another Manchester City corner in front of the Stretford end. Must have been agony for the Manchester United fans at that end to look down on this. Here comes the corner, that's headed up in the air by Rashford, and then Maguire comes across and is able to jump and head it further away. Amrabat falls over. Grealish is in possession. Grealish takes it past Rashford. It's a packed penalty area, so Grealish goes square to Alvarez, who gets the ball down and lifts it at the edge of the penalty area. Haaland with a header. Rashford got a touch on that. Then Rashford gets it back, couldn't get the ball away. Bounces back to him. Rashford then plays it to the halfway line. Bruno Fernandes looks up, plays a crossfield pass. Rashford's going to do well to get here first, but he doesn't. Vardiol's there first. Rashford absolutely busting a gut there, but Guardiola was able to go to ground and play it away. We're in added time at the end of the first half. 4 minutes of added time. Manchester United, who've barely had a sniff down this end of the field. If they're able to get a goal here, then that would be the proverbial get out of jail card. Rashford plays it through the middle. That's a good ball. It's taken down by McTominay. And what a save from Ederson. Leaping to his right. That was heading into the top corner, and Ederson pushed it round.
What a save that was. Great concentration. He's never been called upon hard in this game, hasn't he, for a long period. What a save.
In added time. Super shot as well from McTominay. Corner is taken short. Eriksen now whips it in, but too much on that. Maguire was closest to it, but it was way over his head by 5 or 6 yards. And that was the crumb of comfort for Manchester United to threaten like that right at the end of the first half. But threaten they did.
I haven't seen a lot of them, let's be honest. It's all City. You know, City are wasting a lot of time, you know.
The other point as well, of course, that chance when Højlund ran through.
He had a bad touch. He should have took it across the defender. He's let the defender come back on him. We've just seen a replay. What a save that is. I know it's straight at him, but the force and the half volley by McTominay is straight at him, but the pace of it, great reaction save with his left hand.
Super save. So Manchester City still lead through the Erling Haaland penalty in the 26th minute. Just a few minutes, couple of minutes to go of added time at the end of this first half. Manchester United again, a rare attack. Bruno Fernandes through the middle to Eriksen. Eriksen with sky blue either side of him, couldn't find a teammate, and there were options there. Comes back, Bruno Fernandes, now Rashford on the right hand side. Rashford curls one in towards the back post, comes off the head of Diaz and lands on the roof of the net. Corner to Manchester United. The home supporters thankful for small mercies.
Man United actually are starting to believe, but it's unfortunately it's half time.
Fernandes to take this. There's still time to take it in added time in the 3rd minute of 4. Bruno Fernandes outswinger towards the back post. Maguire stretching, heads it back across the face of goal and wide of the far post.
He's not going to score. He's on a standing jump. If the ball's behind him, he's had to try and use all the power he can generate. It wasn't the greatest corner. Needed a bit more pace on it.
So goal kick, Manchester City. Movement in the stands now, and it is grey now as well above Old Trafford. All of that grey metalwork and grey sky beyond it. And 1-0 Manchester City lead on another day this week when Old Trafford has said goodbye and thank you to Sir Bobby Charlton. I see today, I've seen a picture, there was the wreath on his seat on Tuesday. Today it is a Manchester United scarf that has been draped over Sir Bobby Charlton's seat in the director's box to our left. Here's Grealish infield towards Guardiola. Then Rodri. Stones just outside the box. Stones is challenged by McTominay. Grealish with a touch. Space for Bernardo Silva in the box on the left. Chips it across to the back post. Haaland with a header, and what a save from Onana. That seemed a certain Manchester City second goal. And Onana somehow made ground back across and diving pushed it away. What a save.
We've just saw 2 great saves in the last 2 or 5 minutes, haven't we? What a save that is. As soon as it goes onto Haaland's head, you think 2-0. Great ball by Bernardo Silva, just dinks it up to the far post. Free header Haaland. He really should score. He's headed middle of the goal. He just heads it down. It's a goal.
Yeah. He was up, the ponytail was waggling, but Onana made the save. The latest Manchester City corner, this is number 9, is headed away for Manchester United. And there we are, you hear the boos as the half-time whistle goes. That's for the officials. That's for the award of the penalty, which came rather controversially, almost out of the blue. But the referee went to the side of the pitch. Michael Oliver, the video assistant referee, called him over. He'd seen Manchester United players fouling Manchester City players in the box. I think it was given for Højlund's tug on Rodri, but Maguire was all over Stones as well. And a penalty it was, scored by Haaland. But a tiny, tiny glimmer for Manchester United at the end of the half. But at the same time, Onana had to make that save from Haaland to keep it at 1-0.
I don't think you can argue about the result at the minute, 1-0. Maybe City could have been 2 up. Man United do carry the threat every now and again, but City have just dominated the football. Man United, I don't know what they're going to do. I wonder if they're just going to sit with this, and as long as it's 1-0, they think they've got a chance on a counter-attack or a set-piece. But Man City deserve the lead. I'm surprised the pen's given. Yes, it was, but as I said earlier, you see at least 10-15 of them occasions every game in the Premier League, and they're never given.
So there we are, more from Chris Waddle to come in the second half from here at Old Trafford. But at the break, in the derby match, Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1. And Steve Crossman is here with us on 5 Live in the tight surroundings of the Manchester United Old Trafford commentary position.
Oh yeah, I know that I'm in for the duration here. There's absolutely no way I'm squeezing past you for. Chris Waddle, I'm kind of gutted that we have to have half-time. I mean, I know it's tradition and everything, but that was just really hotting up, wasn't it?
Listen, it's a proper derby. The atmosphere is electric. As we expected, coming here, you know, we all thought City would dominate the ball, which they have. Man United have had some narrow escapes, let's be honest. You know, the goalkeeper's made a couple of great saves. At the other end, Man United, when they have had good attacks and good counter-attacks, they've not used the ball well enough. And one, you know, Edson was called one save, and he did it. It was a brilliant save from McTominay. The game's basically going to plan, you know, for Man City. Dominate the ball, grind them down, gradually take the lead, which they have. And, you know, it's going to be very much the same second half. Whether Man United have got the players to come on to change it, I'm looking at the bench, and I don't really see a lot of confidence coming on there.
The funny thing about the penalty is, you know, you were talking about consistency. To see if there's going to be consistency, we'd have to see an incident in the opposite box. To get that, Manchester United have got to get into the Manchester City half and get a set piece, or get a corner, get a free kick. The chances that they've had 2 good chances, but they're not creating enough to give the referee the opportunity to show consistency.
No, I think I do believe. Listen, I do believe if Man United can get some set pieces, corners, free kicks up near the final third, if somebody does go down, and I'd hate to say it, if somebody does go down with a side contact, I think he'll give it. I think he'll equal it up. And it's horrible to say that, but you can see it happening. But by then, Man City might be 2 or 3 in the lead, by the way. I've got to say, you know, Man City have been the far dominant team, and Man United, I just feel for them because they cannot change it. They're hoping to defend well and hit you on the break and use the ball very, very well, and they haven't.
We've got reaction on the way to the Premier League games that have already taken place this afternoon. The scores: West Ham 0, Everton 1, Aston Villa 3, Luton 1, Brighton 1, Fulham 1, Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. In Scotland it finished Kilmarnock 2, Aberdeen 0. Let's check in on Rangers against Hearts. Gavin Wallace.
Rangers 0, Hearts 1 at the moment. Steve, that goal on 5 from Lawrence Shankland, his third of the season. It was a great ball in from Alex Cochrane, and the header back out beyond was too much for Jack Butland. And James Tavernier missed a penalty right on the stroke of half-time. Better from Rangers now, but there's still a goal down. Rangers 0, Hearts 1.
Matty Cash, Sean Dyche, David Moyes will try and squeeze all of them in between now and kick off of the second half of the Manchester derby. That's all coming up after the news with Dan Maudsley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
International agencies are expressing concern about reports of an Israeli evacuation order for the Al-Quds hospital in northern Gaza. The World Health Organization and International Federation of the Red Cross say hospitals in Gaza must be protected. There's been no confirmation about the order from the Israeli army. Well, Israeli troops have clashed with Hamas fighters in the Gaza Strip. Israeli media say the country's forces have killed several gunmen who came out of a tunnel. Hamas, which is designated as a terrorist organisation by many Western governments, including the UK, said it attacked Israeli armoured vehicles, killing their occupants. The United Nations Relief Agency for Palestinians, UNRWA, is warning that civil order is starting to collapse in Gaza. Warehouses containing flour and other basic supplies have been ransacked by thousands of people. In other news, a government minister here says plans to phase out leasehold properties in England and Wales will be included in the King's speech next month. Rachel McLean says the government wants to end the reign of profiteering management companies. The legislation would require all new houses to be sold as freehold properties. 2 people have been arrested after a woman was seriously injured in a suspected dog attack in North Tyneside. Police say they've seized 5 dogs, including 2 thought to be XL bully types. And flowers have been left at Nottingham's Ice Arena after a Nottingham Panthers ice hockey player died during a match in Sheffield last night. Adam Johnson, who was 29, was cut in the neck by the blade of a skate.
Hear them do their thing in the Premier League. Then hear what they have to say on BBC Sounds. Subscribe to the Players channel and get inside the footballing minds of Premier League icons. From the Footballers Football podcast.
I'm getting stick for arguing with one of their players, and that's a player that they was booing themselves not too long ago. So
to Football First with Troy Deeney and Jermaine Defoe.
I just laughed. I went, don't worry, you'll play me next week.
And much more to come as we head into the new season. Real football talk straight from the players. The Players channel. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
At a very unsettled Old Trafford, half-time Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1, second half commentary on the way. Aston Villa have won at home again this afternoon, 12 straight victories at Villa Park, the latest a 3-1 win over Luton. Unai Emery's side are 5th in the table. Here's defender Matty Cash.
We're really strong at home. We've been really strong at home in recent weeks, months. And yeah, I think we enjoy playing at home. The crowd are with us. And yeah, we're full of confidence in a minute, so obviously, but football can change really quickly, so our job is to stay in body more, work hard, take every game as it comes, and that's all you can do really. Yeah.
Those long meetings are paying off then?
Yeah, they're long, to be fair, hour and a half, but hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah, and how excited are you by the possibilities of what this season and beyond might bring?
Yeah, I think it's a great time to be at the football club. Everyone here's got ambition from the top right the way through to the bottom, and us as players is to do the job on the field. So yeah, we've got everything in place. We've got a great structure, we've got a great manager, we've got fantastic owners, and the most important are the fans. So we've got loads and loads of them as well. So no, it's brilliant. Hopefully we can keep going.
Matty Cash there with Simon Brotherton. Luton third bottom of the Premier League table, just 1 win from their 10 matches so far. In our first commentary of the day, Everton won by a 0-0 at West Ham, a second half strike from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Here's Everton boss Sean Dyche.
Got to get both boxes right. I've been talking endlessly about it. It seems obvious, but that's the business end of what we do. I think the keeper, Jordan, played very well second half. I don't think first half he had that much to do, actually. I thought we defended well. 2 centre-halves were immense. I think they're both having excellent seasons. Jared, since he's come in, the way he's delivering performances. But the work in front of that as well. You know, it's a team ethic. I can't, over-egg it enough. I keep telling the players we score together, and if we do concede, then it's part of everything we do, not from just the defenders. And I think the mentality is growing. There's a lot of work to be done, but I think the underbelly of what we do is growing all the time, and that harder edge to us, the harder to beat edge, I think that's improving.
I mean, you feel you're on an upward curve? Do you feel you're moving now in the right direction? Do you see a lot of positives you can take from today and what's been going on?
The first marker was to improve on last season. It's going to be smaller strides, it's not. I think it was quite clear in the summer, our hands were tied a little bit financially. We've worked diligently, worked very hard to find a balance to what we're doing in the market, find a balance to the squad as well on the pitch. For some of the older, more mature players, but some of the younger players get a chance to mature into the team. It's not easy, but I think there's signs that we're improving, and I think that's important.
Everton up to 15th with that, but it's a third defeat in a week for West Ham and David Moyes.
I don't know if I could say that we deserve to lose, but I could also say I don't know if we deserve to win. But I think it just went against us, and maybe in another day, or maybe we've already had some of those days early in the season where we've nicked it, and I think Everton have just nicked it today. The finishing today, we had 2 or 3 chances that we didn't hit cleanly, we didn't finish off, which was the difference. They didn't really have many, 1 or 2 on the counter attack late in the game. But overall, it was a tight game, and we gave away a poor goal, and that was the difference in the game.
And this was a poignant day for Everton Football Club, and a poignant day for you personally as well. And football did its best at the beginning of the game, didn't it?
Yeah, of course it did, and I would expect nothing less from West Ham or from Everton. Everton lost a great chairman and one of their top supporters, and someone who cared so greatly and put an awful lot of effort into it as well. So Bill will be happy, but obviously I'm not happy tonight.
David Moyes and before him Sean Dyche both speaking to Andy Gillies. Elsewhere in the Premier League, it finished Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0, Jota, Nunez and Salah with the goals. Brighton drew 1-1 with Fulham, João Paulinho equalising after an Evan Ferguson opener. In the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday beat Rotherham United 2-0 in a South Yorkshire derby. That is Wednesday's first win of the season. In the Scottish Premiership, Kilmarnock beat Hearts by 2-0. There have been a couple of managerial sackings to tell you about. One is in the Scottish Premiership. St Johnstone manager Stephen McLean is gone. And in England, in the Championship, Nigel Pearson has been sacked as manager of Bristol City. This is after yesterday's 2-goal defeat at Cardiff, which left them 15th in the Championship. At the Cricket World Cup, England's misery continues. Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes, they have been beaten by 100 runs by India, bearing in mind that at the halfway stage we thought, they've got a chance of this. 230 the target after they had India, 229 for 9. Excellent bowling from Wokes and Willie particularly. But then, Jos Buttler's just been and done his interview at the end of the game and said, I don't know what's going on. Answers on a postcode was the direct quote. And I think really the answer partly is that actually India bowled absolutely brilliantly. Shami and Bumrah at the top, then Kuldeep and Jadeja in the middle, and Shami and Bumrah polishing it off at the bottom. There were a lot of concerns about England's bowling going into this World Cup, I think, but actually the batting has let them down. Bowled out 4 times out of 6. They've lost 9 wickets in the remaining 2 innings in this World Cup. So that is poor batting throughout, not batting to the conditions either. Owen Morgan absolutely roasted the team that he led, of course, to World Cup glory in 2019 before this game. He said he couldn't remember a team who had so badly underperformed, bearing in mind the expectations on them, certainly that they'd reached the semi-finals. And he was suggesting that maybe there was something going on inside the camp, but Chris Wokes has come out and done an interview afterwards, which hopefully you'll hear a bit later on, where he says, no, that is not the case. There are no problems within the camp. They're just all mystified at how it's gone so badly wrong. And not completely definitively out of it yet, Steve, but if they lose to Australia next weekend, they will
I'm not saying it's not a foul, but...
Well, I'll tell you what, we can get some reaction right now, actually, because Chris Wokes is with Adam Mountford.
Well, Chris, there were at least some positive tonight, but ultimately another disappointing performance from England.
Yeah, we're really disappointed with ourselves. We're desperate to obviously still put the right foot forward and try and get a win today, obviously against a very good side in India. We bowled well, we fielded it exceptionally well. And at the halfway point, we probably felt positive that we could go on and get those runs. We got off to a good start with the bat, the first 4 or 5 overs, and then obviously we lose 2 quick wickets, and I suppose we kind of just went into our shells a little bit and couldn't get going, couldn't build partnerships, and I suppose do the basics really. We just couldn't get that one partnership when you've got a relatively low score to chase. There's one big partnership and you can kill the game, and we just couldn't get that.
Is it an understandable lack of confidence?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, if you could bottle confidence up or buy confidence, you certainly would at the minute. Confidence is a funny old thing, isn't it? Because when it's going well, you don't think about the game too much. You kind of just get on with your job, watch the ball hit ball, or let the ball go and bowl where you want it to go. And when it's not going your way, and you're under the pump a little bit, you're desperately trying to find that confidence, and we've been trying to do that. It's not through lack of preparation. We've been trying hard in the nets. We've trained probably more so than we ever have done before. We just can't find that magic bullet, I suppose, which can turn our tournament, and we run out of time.
Chris Wokes there with Adam Mountford. Promoter Frank Warren has told Steve Bunt on the 5 Live Boxing podcast the undisputed heavyweight fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk is unlikely to happen until next year now. It was originally due to take place in a couple of months' time. You can listen to that interview right now over on BBC Sounds. Quick reminder, we'll have commentary of the Mexico Grand Prix on 5 Live from 7:45 this evening. Charles Leclerc is on pole ahead of his Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz. I actually saw there was a bit of a Ferrari football derby earlier this year in a charity match, and Carlos Sainz put Charles Leclerc on his backside with a pretty poor tackle. So that's the Ferrari derby. We're here at Old Trafford for the Manchester derby. Manchester City leading at the break by 1-0, just awaiting the teams coming out for the second half. They are on their way, as you'll hear the Manchester United fans in a moment. There they are as the United fans take to the field, still waiting for Manchester City. Chris Waddle, one question I didn't ask you on that penalty: why have Rasmus Højlund marking Rodri?
This is it. I mean, you have different players. Sometimes you look at some that's big and small. In some games you watch, you think, how's he picking him up? But he's a strong boy. I can understand why he's marking him. But it's Harry Maguire actually touches Rodri first, then Højlund takes him down, obviously. But if you watch the referee, he didn't. He just said nothing. He just watched the game go on. And what was it, over 2 minutes before they actually told him to go and look at VAR?
By the way, once the full-time whistle goes here at Old Trafford, myself, John and Chris will carry on live until 6 o'clock, and our producer Gary Flintoff will be down at the touchline bringing in live interviews, all of that before 6:06, which will start just after 6 o'clock this evening. Right, both teams are with us, the second half of the Manchester derby, and Chris Waddle is with John Murray.
Yes, Manchester United 0, Manchester City 1. Start of the second half, just a few seconds away. Mason Mount is going to come on as a substitute at half-time. So he's had a rather disrupted start to his Manchester United career. I think it's fair to say that he's yet to really settle in. He's so far provided just the 1 assist, yet to score, and he's coming on for Amrabat. So just as against Copenhagen here on Tuesday night, Erik ten Hag is taking off Amrabat at half-time. Chris Waddle.
Yeah, I think he struggles with the pace of the game. I don't think he's come to England and he's found the pace of this game very, very good. It's not the Italian league, and Mason Mount, good change. McTominay drops back into the midfield in front of the back four.
So off we go. Manchester City get the second half underway here. Floodlights shining brightly down now, and the BBC World Service join us as well once again as Manchester City in the sky blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks come forward against Manchester United in their first choice colours here at Old Trafford. Johnny Evans hooks the ball away over his own head. Rodri, the man who won the penalty, heads it forward. Johnny Evans again takes the ball down into the full-back position and passes it up the line to Rashford. And now Christian Eriksen just guides a pass over the head of Grealish towards Dalot, and Dalot is able to curl it forward towards Fernandes, who is in an offside position. I suppose we should make the point that last season Manchester City were in charge of this match. They were leading through Grealish's goal before Manchester United came up with 2 late goals and won it. So that's why really you would say that Manchester United, their first objective is to stay in this match, which they did with that Onana save just before half-time, which was an outstanding save. And Manchester City playing it forward towards the goal scorer Haaland, but Harry Maguire was in first. Eriksen tries to play it back to the newly arrived Mason Mount, who was manhandled over, and wins a free kick on the left-hand side for Manchester United. Kyle Walker using his hands, down went Mount, free kick Manchester United.
Well, it's a good game for Mason Mount to set the standards which people expected of him here, isn't it? If he can get a goal or assist, just turn the game around for them.
Free kick taken short. Rashford's onto this. Got 2 men on him. Foden's one of them. Allows the ball to run. It's a Manchester United corner from the left-hand side.
That's better. That's better from Rashford. You've got to get the ball. He's got to be brave enough, and he's got to turn this game around for Man United.
He's taken it to Fernandes, who shoots low, and Ederson goes down. That was tricky for the Manchester City goalkeeper. It didn't have the power, but it had a bit of movement on it, and it dipped right in front of him, but Ederson was able to go down and land on it and save it and hold it.
Yeah, very awkward, just pitches in front of the goalie. Goalies don't like that. Man United have got a little bit more tempo about them, second half.
So Mason Mount is just tracking back towards the halfway line, playing in an advanced position. So as Chris Waddle suggested, McTominay has dropped back into a more defensive role. Here's Rodri up against McTominay, just flicks it to his left to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva to the edge of the box, left-footed ball, Foden's in at the back post, but stretching for it, just angled it as it bounced up across the face of goal and beyond the far post.
Very awkward. It's a great ball in, but it gets behind Lindelof. It really, maybe it's his right foot, side foot. He's got more chance. He's gone. It's bounced high, outside the left foot, high and wide.
So Manchester United now, Onana in goal, Dalot, Maguire, Evans and Lindelof is the back four. So Varane only on the bench today. There's no Casemiro, he's not involved. So now McTominay alongside Eriksen, Mason Mount further forward, Fernandes on the right, Rashford on the left, and Højlund through the middle. Had one chance in the first half when he was sent through, but a heavy touch meant that he wasn't able to get a shot on goal. Manchester City playing it back towards their goalkeeper Ederson, who also made a very good save just before half-time from McTominay. Ederson finds Foden with his clearance, then Walker, then Rodri, over the halfway line to Alvarez, and the Argentine with a right-footed curling ball right across the far side to Grealish. Fernandes closes him down, Grealish into the box, there's the overlap there from Bernardo Silva to the byline, chips it across, Haaland must score, Haaland scores, it's 2-0, sliding away on his knees, the Manchester City supporters in that corner in raptures. He's got 2 now here at Old Trafford. Manchester United 0, Manchester City 2, and it's very, very difficult to see Erik ten Hag's side come back from this.
Yeah, a great play by City, I've got it again. They moved the ball ever so well. Jack Grealish links it with Silva. Unfortunately, Dalot had gone on an overlap. He couldn't get back. Fernandes would ended up at right back. The left back's all over the place. Lindelof tucks too far in. Haaland just peels off to the back post, and he's not going to miss that one. He should have scored first off with a header similar. This time, what is he, 2-3 yards out? It's an easy. Johnny Evans had to go forward. Left back, Lindelof's got into the wrong position, and you don't leave Haaland. All the players that you pick up at Man City, he's the one you pick up. And it's a simple goal for him. Far post header, just hit the target. 2-0.
2-0. That makes it 11 Premier League goals this season, 13 in all competitions for the man who scored 52 last season. And they've said, haven't they, Chris, that he's not really reached the heights of last season yet, Haaland. But I think what was significant as well, you mentioned it, the fact that in added time at the end of the first half, he had a chance not unlike that, and he should have buried that with his head, but he gave Onana the chance to make a very good save. And this time, you could almost see it in his body language. There was no way that was going anywhere else than into the back of the Manchester United net. So now Manchester United have to come from 2-0 down here, but Rashford trying to find a way past Rodri, he can't. Bruno Fernandes then square to McTominay. Feeling would be surely that Manchester United need an early response. Dalot's cross hits Grealish on the edge of the area, optimistic shouts for handball. Bernardo Silva is then fouled on the edge of the box. It's a free kick to Manchester City, and I think the supporters, certainly more than the players, are thinking that might have been a handball on the edge of the area.
Well, it looked like one, didn't it? You can't say it didn't, and I can see why they're appealing, but Man United's got to keep working. They've got to keep their heads down, keep the shape, be disciplined, because they could end up losing this 4 or 5.
That could easily happen against Manchester City, who obviously would show no mercy. If they get a sniff, if they get a chance to put Manchester United in their place. Well, that's a poor ball out from Ederson, the goalkeeper, over the head of Walker, and it's out of play for a throw-in to Manchester United that Lindelof takes back into his own half. So it looks as though this mini revival, and I use that word most advisedly, is coming to an end here after the 3 narrow wins. But still plenty of time. Lindelof, Fernandes tries a flick. He's fortunate that it came back to him. Højlund now turns on the edge of the box, tried to find McTominay. Instead, he passed it straight to Grealish. And then in the end, Ederson is able to clear from the edge of the 6-yard box. So 2-0 Manchester City. Erling Haaland, who has now got 5 goals in his last 3 Manchester City appearances. He's on another one of those rolls,
yep.
So watch out, everyone else.
He was brought in to score goals. He's not heavily involved in the build-up or the way they play. He just gets in that area, give him the ball in that area, and you know you've got a very good chance that he's going to score.
Manchester City 2-0 up, and Ericsson and Mason Mount. Then it goes back towards Johnny Evans, who goes back to goalkeeper Onana. Been beaten twice now. He's made a couple of decent saves as well. Onana right-footed out towards Lindelof, who heads it forward, but Foden is able to chase that and scoop it away. Overhead kick forward. Evans, Foden, Alvarez trying to get away from Evans, but it bounces out of play for a throw into Manchester United, halfway inside their own half. So 6:06 will follow us on 5 Live Sport, and the lines will be open on 08085 909 693 to talk about the day's football, the weekend's football, with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, as is the case almost every Saturday and Sunday night. And the news as well today that your old teammate Nigel Pearson has lost his job at Bristol City. Bristol City fans might want to talk about that. Ball forward for Guardiola. Guardiola low ball into the 6-yard box, but Onana is able to drop onto that and then quickly out to the edge of his area. Underarms it out. Manchester United need to find something quickly, but McTominay is eased off the ball, forced to make the error. He's given it to Kyle Walker, and Walker now to Foden on the right hand side. Walker puts his foot on the ball, comes in field, still going, and then back heels it behind him to Rodri. So it is to be a win. That will be Manchester City back up alongside Arsenal, level on points, 24 points, and Tottenham will have a 2-point lead over the two of them. Currently Liverpool are third after their win against Nottingham Forest earlier, but the way that this game is going, that's only for the next half hour or so. Here's Foden, plays it in towards the edge of the box, where Rodri is watched all the way in there by Mount, who went with him, and Manchester City going back towards the halfway line. Pep Guardiola all in black down there. He's got a chunky black autumn sweater on. He's conducting his team, he's orchestrating them, and they are enjoying the possession, which they have now on the left-hand side with Grealish, who loses out to Diogo Dalot, and Dalot, Grealish chasing him, and actually Grealish gets a foot in on that. It's cleared by Maguire, but he's cleared it straight to Alvarez, who's 30 yards out. Alvarez towards the edge of the penalty area, takes it wide into the box, still going, and shoots into Lindelof's shins, and the ball bounces out next to the corner flag for a throw-in.
I've got to say, John, the gap, the difference between the two teams is absolutely unbelievable. I've been looking and thinking, who would I take out the Man United side here and put in the Man City team? I'm sorry, I cannot find one.
Not a single one.
No, cannot find one.
And that tells you where they are. Since Manchester United last won the league in 2013, they've never finished above Manchester City. And in fact, under Pep Guardiola, so in the last 7 seasons, Manchester City have always been at the final Premier League table at least 9 points ahead of Manchester United. They finished level on points together the season that Leicester won the league, and then Guardiola came in, and then that run started. Here's Ederson with the ball at the back. Ederson playing it forward towards Alvarez. He takes that down brilliantly. Ericsson not close enough to him, so Alvarez gives it to Foden, who's coming in field. It has the feel that a next Manchester City goal might not be too far away. It bounces off Bernardo Silva to Grealish on his right foot, shoots, saved by Onana, dive into his left, who is able to parry it away. Got a good sight of it. Rashford's got it down in the left full-back position, and Foden is all over him, and Rashford turns and plays it out of play off Walker for a throw-in. Foden on a yellow card. Hadn't got to react.
That was out, by the way. And the passion and desire of City is unbelievable. All these players who get the shirt must think, I want to keep this shirt, because they've got some very tasty players on the bench. When you get the shirt, you must think, I've got to work hard here to keep this shirt.
Manchester United still inside their own half. Mount with a header, forward from Rodri, then forward from Johnny Evans. Ericsson gives it to Højlund, but Walker is back onto him, and just as Højlund was looking up there, the youngster trying to look up, find Rashford with the pass, just as he did that, Walker was in like a flash, and therefore the chance was gone. Rashford didn't receive it, and Manchester City are back in possession. I feel a lot of it, Chris, I've said it this week as well, again, comes from, Manchester United needing to spark Rashford, the man who was so important to them last season with the 30 goals. Guardiola, he's hardly been in this game. Guardiola back towards the halfway line to Bernardo Silva, and then Bernardo Silva forced back to all the way to Diaz in the middle of his own half. And now Diaz starts on a run forward, taps it to his left, and Sure enough, Rodri is there, and now Stones stepping forward from this midfield position to take it through the middle. Alvarez to his right, Foden, little ball in towards Haaland, who's on a hat-trick again, remember. Alvarez, he's got it back in the D, now to the left-hand side. Grealish drives it right across the face of goal and beyond the far post. And Manchester City are all over Manchester United like a rash. It's almost as if they have no answer.
They haven't got an answer, John. They just can't get the ball off them. Every City player, when they get the ball, wants it. Their movement, they're all looking for the ball. Give me it. You don't see that in the red shirts of Man United. Man United players lacking in confidence, lacking in belief. Yeah, you can see they know they're second best.
Yeah, after the second goal goes in, really the belief has gone out of Manchester United. And Manchester City, once again, yet again, are just too good for them. As Ederson clears it out for a throw on the halfway line.
If you look, John, in the transfer market, City bring in 2 or 3 players, always top quality, great. But who's Man United bought, apart from Highland up front, and who they really brought in? Look at your 2 centre-halves. Maguire, he doesn't really want to play, and Johnny Evans is 35.
Well, you're looking at the experience that they brought with Casemiro, who was so good for them last season.
Yeah, but Arabat not quick enough for this league. Not the answer.
Anthony, a lot of money was spent on him. In fact, only 2 Manchester United players have cost more than Anthony.
Not done it.
He's on the bench, and Manchester City have got a free kick. 6:06 to continue that conversation on 08085 909 693. You can read all about it on the football pages of the BBC Sport website, all of the weekend action. Watch the highlights on Match of the Day 2 tonight. And of course anytime on the iPlayer for Match of the Day, either of the weekend programmes, and the 5 Live Football Daily from BBC Sounds every morning. Nedum Anua always on it on a Monday morning. Manchester City eventually take this free kick. Haaland was complaining about something. Guardiola's challenge, ball bounces, Haaland 30 yards out, using his left foot, giving it to Foden, right side of the box against Lindelof, one way then the other, still Foden, then it's taken up by Rodri. Rodri is forced out of the penalty area by Lindelof, and Foden again. Every time Manchester City have the ball just outside the Manchester United box, you know, it feels like it's going to end up with a shot on goal. It didn't there, but the threat is constant for this Manchester United team. And Manchester City, we've said it before in some of the matches that they've played, you know, the biggest indictment on Manchester United is as the ball is brought forward by Alvarez again, who's very influential, isn't he, this season in Manchester City's play.
I like the role he plays as well behind Haaland, doesn't he, really? He's got great energy, good awareness, and we know he can score.
Yeah, 23 years old. He was a great spot, was the South American Player of the Year at the time, but even so, you know, he is such an effective part of this after the various goings from Manchester City this summer. And here is Alvarez again playing it on beyond Foden, who's up against Lindelof. He can't get round him. He might have clipped his heels. Lindelof went down. Thought that might have been a free kick. Nothing given by referee Tierney, and Evans is able to volley it away towards the halfway line, where actually it's headed out for a throw into Manchester United. Yeah, I think the biggest indictment, it's one of those matches where it looks like Manchester City against one of what you might call the Premier League also-rans.
Yeah, look, there's no way Man United can challenge City. I know there's 2 or 3 teams, well, Arsenal and Liverpool's playing very well. Tottenham, if they can sustain it. But you wouldn't put down Man United as title contender, sorry.
Here is McTominay with the ball for Manchester United. We've still got most of half an hour to play. Maguire in possession. Rangers are still 1-0 down to Hearts, but Gavin Wallace.
There's a big penalty, John. James Tavernier's about to step up. We're in the dying embers of this game. He takes the mini run up, hits it with his foot and puts it beyond Zander Clark. Expertly dispatched down the middle, and Rangers may have salvaged a point. Rangers 1, Hearts 1.
After Celtic's draw yesterday, of course. Here's Walker over the halfway line. Lines are open for 6:06 now with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693 to book your call. Text 85058. Get in touch. Hashtag BBC 606. But this is 5 Live and the World Service. And on this autumnal night, although it is quite mild, I must say, Ederson passing the ball forward towards John Stones. Manchester City after this, at home to Bournemouth. Then they've got the return match against Young Boys in the Champions League. Here's Walker on the right-hand side. Walker gets his head down now. Off down the right wing, almost into the full-back position. Checks back, plays it infield to Alvarez on his left foot. Went for the the curler into the top left corner, but he didn't get any draw on that at all, and it just speared away beyond the top corner.
He didn't get his foot round it. He didn't put the bend on it with his left foot. He's hit it far too flat, and it's gone high and wide, and he had options to his left. He had Silva, Grealish.
So it remains 2-0 to Manchester City, just like it was a couple of years ago on a match. I was reminded by Tony Livesey on Drive on Friday, which was actually the fact of the day. In that 2-0 win in 2021, that was the match in which Manchester United had more attempts on their own goal than they did on Manchester City's, as Walker just has to stab this back towards Ederson. So it's not been as bad as that, but just with the naked eye watching this Manchester City team against Manchester United, it's one of those days where it just feels as though United are streets behind them. Here's McTominay, though, to Højlund, and then Eriksen. McTominay again, Manchester United trying to find a foothold, just get a goal, get back into the match if they can. But the pressure is on. If they're able to create a chance, they have to take it. Eriksen, his cross from the right, headed away by John Stones on the edge of the 6-yard box, falling backwards. That was more or less where Eriksen put the ball in for Maguire to score against Copenhagen on Tuesday night, but this time it was the other England central defender, John Stones, on the end of it, not Harry Maguire. Here is Maguire in the centre circle. Maguire rolls the ball to the right, and then Eriksen lifts a pass down the line. Dalot begins to move infield. Here's Bruno Fernandes on the right, chips it over towards the back post, but Kyle Walker's underneath that, heads it away, but Rashford loses out. Second header from Walker. Walker just able to beat Rashford in the air, and now Manchester City come forward again after that mini Manchester United period of pressure. Phil Foden being chased by Mason Mount, but Manchester City go back into their own half.
They're just too good, City. I'm sorry, just every time Man United think they've got them, they're closing them down. They have that extra shirt just appears. And the great thing with City is every player wants the ball, and they're all comfortable in possession. You know, you don't look at him and think, pressure him, he's not very comfortable on the ball. They all are.
Yep, Phil Foden on the right-hand side. And there's news of another goal at Ibrox. Gavin Wallace.
It's a smashing grab for Rangers, John. Rangers 2, Hearts 1. A great ball in from James Tavernier, the Brazilian substitute. Danilo was there in the head to put it well beyond Zander Clark. And surely the points will be staying in Glasgow. Rangers 2, Hearts 1.
And Rangers under their new manager, the new manager effect, left it late. But here's Rashford on the halfway line. That looked like a handball. Certainly Pep Guardiola thinks so. He had a clear view of that. And he's saying to the fourth official, who was a few yards away, who surely had to spot that, Craig Pawson. But the referee didn't see it. So Manchester United with Dalot, his ball across. That's blocked inside the penalty area for Manchester City by Stones. And now Guardiola is being put under pressure by Mason Mount, playing it back to Ederson, who clears. I think if that had ended up in the back of the Manchester City net, we would have heard about that after the match. Certainly I think Craig Pawson would have heard about that from Pep Guardiola. Definitely. In fact, he's still hearing about it now from him. He's got his arms crossed. Terrible body language from Guardiola. He's looking over his shoulder. He's chuntering away at Craig Pawson. He's pulled down his zip. He's pulled it up. He's pulled it down again, and he's pulled it up again. He is hot under the collar. He's got a 2-0 lead. He knows, he's seen enough, hasn't he? Even in this position, even with this dominance from Manchester City, a goal back from Manchester United could change things.
I thought you were going to break into song there. I pulled my zip up and I pulled it down again.
Here's Alvarez inside his own half. Not sure I know that song. Here's McTominay taking it towards the edge of the penalty area, but passed it straight into John Stones. Eriksen needs to get there first for Manchester United ahead of Alvarez. Alvarez is chasing him, but Eriksen has got it. Eriksen's ball across is deflected behind. Corner.
Well, 67 minutes. Is he starting to think now, Guardiola, about bringing 2 or 3 quality players on to keep the tempo a little bit higher? They're just starting to come off the pace, Man City, which is allowing Man United to get the ball forward.
Corner to Manchester United, who are searching for something in this match. In front of the Stretford end, all of those pairs of eyes looking down on this crowded penalty area. Eriksen takes the corner, which is headed away. 2 Manchester City players got to it. I think it might have been Alvarez who got the touch on that, leaping for it. So another corner to Manchester United. Now Manchester United substitutes also being sent out to warm up down between the dugout and the tunnel down to our left. Second consecutive Manchester United corner from the right. Christian Eriksen steps away, raises his left arm. Here's the delivery from the corner, the outswinger which is headed away from Stones for Manchester City, unchallenged. Manchester United take up possession again though. Dalot back to Eriksen, then back to Dalot again. Manchester United fans want the ball into the penalty area. Comes back to Eriksen, still the ball on the right. Fernandes gets the ball into the edge of the area, but it's cleared away comfortably by Manchester City, out of play for a throw-in to Manchester United. And Manchester City just too strong. Although the point should be made that they've not kept a clean sheet in their last 6 matches. Here's Lindelof in the centre circle. That'll be the next target for Manchester City today, to get that clean sheet as well, which obviously now in this position would win the match. 2 goals from Erling Haaland, who is on what would be his second hat-trick against Manchester United. He'd have got 1 at the Etihad and 1 here at Old Trafford. Long pass though for Rashford. Rashford chesting down and shooting across the face of goal. He took it wide with the chest down. Walker went with him. But on the turn, on the twist, he shot across the 6-yard box and beyond the far post.
Well, we've not saw a lot of Marcus Rashford today, and that was his opportunity there to get Man United back into the game. Great ball by Eriksen. It's a great run by Rashford. Kyle Walker thinks, let him go, he's offside. Perfectly timed. Does everything right. Good control. He just pulls it wide. Great opportunity.
There again, that's another one where, when Rashford last seen was on the way to his best season of 30 goals. Last season, that goes in the net.
Yeah, it goes in, yeah.
That's football, Chris. That's the way it works. Always has done. Manchester City with it on the halfway line. Chris Waddle watching with us here. England World Cup man. We're watching Diaz carry the ball over the halfway line and give it at close quarters to Alvarez, and then back to Walker. And Manchester City resume the familiar pattern with 20 minutes to play plus added time. Again, if Rashford was able to score that there, bring it back to 2-1, Manchester United, you know, maybe it could have sprung a change in the game. But for Manchester United this season, who are on course now for what would be their 5th Premier League defeat in 10 matches played, there are too many ifs and maybes. For Manchester City, this would be 8 wins out of their first 10 for the champions. 2 defeats, but 8 wins out of your first 10. That is an excellent way to begin the defence of their title, as they tried to do something that Manchester United have not done, no other team has done in England, to win the title 4 seasons in a row. Guardiola now forward towards Grealish. Grealish slips it through for Haaland. This could be the hat-trick, but no, Onana makes the save. He tried to take it round him to the left, lifted over him, but Onana threw up an arm and blocked it away for a corner.
Good save, made himself big, kept his arms up. He did the right thing, Haaland, I've got to say. He was never going to get it along the ground. He's trying to lift it over him, try to dink it over him, which he did the right thing, but you've got to sometimes say that is a good save. He made himself big, put his arms up, got it away for the corner.
Another good save from Onana. There've been a number of them, haven't there? Remember the one he kept Haaland out early on in the match before half-time, that one there. Again, it's one of those matches where Haaland, as the corner is taken short, Grealish still going, runs across the corner of the box, chips it in, headed away by Johnny Evans, headed further away by Eriksen. Grealish pulls it down. The fans in the Sir Alex Ferguson stand shouting for a handball, but on the blind side of the referee. And then Alvarez goes sprawling down. That's not a free kick. Rodri through the middle towards Haaland. Haaland with his back to the penalty area, taps it here to Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side, then back towards Diaz. Now Bernardo Silva once again, but Manchester United static as they have to face Manchester City in possession. John Stones flicks it round the corner towards Bernardo Silva. Stones makes a run into the box. Bernardo Silva still in possession, then curls it back towards the centre circle. And Manchester United about to make 2 changes here. Garnacho and Reguilon are going to come on, and the plan is for Højlund and Lindelof to come off. Ball into the area for Bernardo Silva. Lindelof's trying to see it behind. It bounces off. Oh, Nana's lost it. And now Foden on the dead ball line. He slips over. And Manchester United have been able to get it away, which they haven't yet. Well, Lindelof's given it away to Stones. Again, scary, panicky moments inside the Manchester United penalty area.
Lack of confidence, isn't it, and that belief. And they make the subs now. They'll both be coming off. 2-1.
And the full-time whistle has gone at Ibrox and Gavin Wallace.
Yep, John, Rangers 2, Hearts 1, 2 late goals from the hosts keep the points in Glasgow. Lawrence Shankland opened on 5 for Hearts with a well-placed header. James Tavernier missed a penalty on half-time. He had another one right at the death of the game on 90 after a shut tug in the box. And then Brazilian Danilo with a great header from a Tavernier cross ensured Philippe Clement remains unbeaten as Rangers manager. Rangers 2, Hearts 1.
Big chorus of boos here when the number of Rasmus Højlund went up, the number 11. A lot of Manchester United booing the decision of Erik ten Hag to take off the young Danish striker.
I think I've heard that a couple of times. Every time he's took him off, the crowd have not been happy about it. They obviously think you're trying to win the game. They've gone Rashford down the middle now. Rancho on this left-hand side. Marcus Rashford going to play against the 2 centre-halves. Well, yeah, listen, he's looking at it and he's trying to think, how can I improve, how can I get more to Marcus Rashford? And he's limping now, Rashford, so I don't know.
Well, Rashford has just got his hands on his knees now as Manchester City have possession. Just keep an eye on him. He's hobbling as he trots back into position. Manchester City coming forward, but that's now 7 appearances in the Premier League without a goal for Højlund. Here's Grealish, shoots, it's deflected, which takes it wide at the left post as Grealish looks at it. Shot from 22 yards or thereabouts. Another corner to Manchester City. So another game goes by. He's got his 3 goals in the Champions League, but yet to get off the mark in the Premier League. But Erik ten Hag feeling that to make a change, he wants Garnacho on the field, play Rashford down the middle.
Yeah, I think he's limited in what he could do. He's brought Mount on at half-time, hasn't he, trying to get something out of him. We've not saw Mount on the ball, or touch the ball, really.
Corner is taken by Manchester City short, and then it's clipped in by Alvarez to the back post, headed across by Diaz, comes off a Manchester United head and is then volleyed away by McTominay. The score, Manchester United 0, Manchester City 2. And from the moment that Haaland headed in his second, that was in the 50th minute. Apart from that moment when Rashford was in with the chance, really it's been almost one-way traffic and an inevitability that this match will end with another Manchester City victory. Eriksen back towards Maguire, but let's see if Ten Hag's changes here are going to make a difference. But Garnacho, rather like Rashford, has rather been searching for his form after he burst onto the scene last season. There was obviously the incident the other night as well involving the emojis that you may well be aware of, posted by Garnacho, that are being looked at. But Erik ten Hag and Andre Onana actually spoke up for him after that. Here's Guardiola for Manchester City, playing it forward towards Foden in the centre circle. Foden's ball over the top. Maguire, though, is able to watch the bouncing ball and head it down. Haaland gambled on that one to bounce past Maguire, but Maguire dealt with it and then plays the ball to Dalot, and back it goes to Onana. So 15 minutes to play here at Old Trafford. Lines open for 606 08 085 909 693 to join the conversation with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 5 Live tonight, where there will still be more live sport after that, because after 606, from around about 7:45, we will have commentary on the Mexican Formula 1 Grand Prix here on 5 Live, whereas there will be NFL on Sports Extra. And this coming midweek, live Carabao Cup football on 5 Live and Sports Extra, Tuesday night and Wednesday night, when on Wednesday Manchester United will be playing Newcastle here in what was the match between the teams in the final last season. Gareth Southgate is in the crowd tower left. I'm sure he'll be pleased to see, well, it'll be sort of mixed, won't it, for Gareth Southgate in terms of the performance, but the man in possession now, John Stones, such an important player for England. Stones plays it forward towards Alvarez. At least England can't face Alvarez at the Euros, as it goes back to Diaz, and then Rodri turns and rolls it here to Kyle Walker. Walker, twice persuaded by Gareth Southgate not to retire from international football. And then Manchester City just keeping possession inside their own half. Out to the left-hand side to Guardiola, and then Alvarez. Guardiola takes it on through the middle. Guardiola then chips it centrally. Bernardo Silva tried to sweep it across. It bounces back for Alvarez. Now into the path of Foden. Foden across. Took a deflection. Bounced away off Dalot. But Manchester City quickly back onto it. And the sky blue all over the red of Manchester United. Bernardo Silva then back towards Walker, who's behind us. And then Bernardo Silva again and Walker exchange passes. Alvarez. And Manchester City back towards the halfway line.
Just joy to watch, aren't they, on the eye? The way they look after the football, the movement, the options they've got. They've always got options to play one touch, two touch. There's always somebody in a blue shirt available for the ball.
Yeah, here's Foden now against Garnacho. But Manchester City looking after the football, just how Pep Guardiola likes it. We'll hear from him, we'll hear from Erik ten Hag as well, on 5 Live or on 606 after the end of the match. So stay with us for that, as Manchester City have the ball now halfway inside their own half, with Bernardo Silva, who's all of a sudden the player who's furthest back. Manchester United just can't get the ball back, and it's the Manchester City fans you can hear in the corner of the ground for Manchester City, with Alvarez now. Alvarez taking it on and giving it to Foden on the right-hand side. Foden again moving infield. Reguilon's trying to chase him. Rodri simply one touch, then to his left to Bernardo Silva. Now to Grealish. Grealish into the area, ball at his feet. Knees slightly bent, hair swept back. Gives it back to Guardiola, and then Rodri thinking about a shot. The man who scored the winning goal in the Champions League shoots, saved by Onana, comes out to Haaland. Haaland plays it across, and it's forced in by Foden, and it's 3-0 now. And Haaland says to Foden, you can celebrate. And it is Foden who slides away, surrounded by his teammates now. That's the crucial final blow in this derby match. Manchester United 0, Manchester City 3. It's emphatic.
Well, another brilliant goal by Manchester City. The amount of passes they had before this goes in the net, and Haaland this time squares it for Foden for a simple tap-in. But how many passes was it before this goal? Man United couldn't get near City. They were just playing with them, and eventually they turned the pace up a little bit, get into the right areas in the box, and it's a simple tap-in for Foden. And it's so easy. I mean, it's so easy. Great save again. Pushes it out to Haaland, who just rolls it square inside the 6-yard box, along to Foden, who reacts first. The two defenders who trace him back do not react at all from the shot. I mean, the goalie should push it a lot further away from it. He's pushed it out into Haaland, but you can't argue, John. It's been one-way traffic all game, and Man United will be pleased it's just 3.
So Phil Foden, the assist from Haaland, who actually was quite unselfish there, Haaland, from the position that he was in. The right thing to do was play it across to Foden, and that's what he did. But on a hat-trick at Old Trafford, he could have gone for it. But well played, mature play from Haaland, and Phil Foden scoring in front of the England manager Gareth Southgate, his 3rd goal of the season for his club, as Manchester City knocking the ball around. And I think now Manchester United fans around Old Trafford, as the rain begins, the Manchester rain begins to fall, and Manchester United fans beginning to head towards the exits with less than 10 minutes to go. Walker, Manchester United on the back foot. Manchester City coming forward. Grealish takes on Dalot. Dalot just got a leg on that. Overhead kick from Foden, bounces wide from in between the penalty spot and the edge of the area.
Far too easy. You know, creativity, technique, legs, everything about it. Pace, change of pace, whatever you want to look at. Man City are better in every department.
But we're not seeing anything today that we weren't expecting, really.
No, coming here, John, I thought it'd be 3. To be honest, I thought it'd be more. I thought it'd be 4 or 5, I'll be perfectly honest. And it could have been. It could have been. And the difference between the two clubs is absolutely massive on the football pitch.
It is, despite the fact that they've actually spent a similar amount of money over the course of the last 10 years as Manchester City actually give it away. And Eriksen now just outside the penalty area, but it's 3-0 down. This is would be too little too late as Garnacho plays it across from the left-hand side. But they want that clean sheet now, City, having not kept one in their last 6 matches. And Foden does ever so well, keeping the ball in, down in the right-back position, runs it away up the line. Fernandes puts in the challenge, out of play off Foden for a throw-in, and then Garnacho wins another throw-in for Manchester United. But Foden on the score sheet, you know, he continues to do his thing as well, doesn't he? There are so many different components to this Manchester City team. Garnacho at the other end, he's dispossessed by Rodri. Classic Rodri there, absolutely. You know, that's why he's so well regarded there. Garnacho in a dangerous position near the edge of the penalty area, and Rodri just glides in and takes the ball away from him.
He reads the game ever so well. He spots danger, doesn't he? He just reads it unbelievably well.
Manchester United, though, coming with the ball from the right-hand side, but it's straight into the gloves of Ederson, who just tosses it out as though it's a training game. Rain now pouring down on Old Trafford. Manchester City on the way to victory in the derby match, and the referee gives a free kick for a foul in centre field on Bruno Fernandes.
Well, he's caught underneath his studs, hasn't he? I think it wasn't a foul really, he's just lost the ball and Fernandes read it. He's holding his ankle, he's probably jarred it a little bit in the collision. He'll be alright.
Yeah, he's on his feet. You know, Manchester United supporters on 606 tonight, you know, we'll go back towards the opening goal and the decision of VAR, Michael Oliver on VAR to give the penalty, which was much discussed at the time, and I'm sure will be much discussed on 606 as well. Fernandes turning, playing it to Rashford on the edge of the penalty area. He's got blue shirts all around him, and actually the covering man who comes in, Bernardo Silva, sends it spinning away behind for a Manchester United corner. There is urgency from United, but the game's gone. There's only 5 minutes, a little bit more than that to play. They're not giving it up. You can't do that in front of the Stretford end, where the United fans, I can see them in there clapping their hands, trying to urge United on. Fernandes takes this. Oh, Eriksen hits the volley straight into, I think it was Rodri on the edge of the penalty area. It's blocked away out towards the far side for Manchester United, who are back in possession. Dalot, little pass to Rashford. Rashford goes for the ball towards the edge of the box, hits Grealish. Haaland jumps for it on the edge of the area against Mount, and then it's poked away by Grealish. But now Reguilon for Manchester United, through the middle towards McTominay, hits Reguilon. Harry Maguire still up onto this in the D. Maguire battling for it like a bull in a china shop, and in the end it bounces away for Manchester City to clear towards the halfway line. Well, there's urgency there, and Erik ten Hag's going to bring on Martial and Antony. Now a double change, but as you can probably tell from what we've been saying, you know, it's a lost cause for Manchester United.
Well, Rashford's coming off, and unfortunately didn't get any joy against Kyle Walker, and he didn't get any joy against Diaz or Stones. So another game goes by without a goal for Marcus Rashford, and I think Eriksen's coming off.
Yeah, Eriksen and Marcus Rashford. So that is still just the 1 goal this season. 1 goal, 1 assist for Marcus Rashford, and that is from 13 matches played this season. The man who was so potent last season. And we are going to see Jeremy Doku coming on with Mateo Kovacic, so a double change for Manchester City as well. These are the first changes that Pep Guardiola has made. The team that he picked for this match has done the job, winning by 3-0. And now in the latter stages, 4 minutes to play, off comes, well, Bernardo Silva is saying, is it me? It's Grealish who is making way for Doku. How do you feel he's done today, Grealish?
I think he draws people around him. He's used to ball, obviously. He likes to go back to Rodri, that square ball or back. I'd still like him to seem to take people on and work on his left foot a bit more. I think I'd like to see him go on the outside a little bit more. I think he's become quite predictable. And I think full-backs look at him and think, well, you're not going to beat us. And I think he's got to add that to his game. I think he's got to start going past players a bit more. You know, he doesn't give the ball away, you can say that, but...
do you think he's working under instructions, though?
No, I think he's worked harder as a player off the ball. I think that's getting in the City team. I think he had to do that if he wanted to stay in the team.
3-0 Manchester City, 5 live on the World Service from the BBC. Foden, as Manchester City come forward. Still the rain falls on Old Trafford. Here on the west side of Manchester. Foden looking to get it back, but it bounces down, and Fernandes will pass it forward towards Garnacho, who's away from Walker. Walker trying to catch him. Garnacho into the area, but Walker does recover. Of course he does. Then he takes it off his toe end inside the penalty area and sweeps it behind for a corner. I thought he was beaten there. I should have known better.
Well, you know, Kyle Walker seems to get quick as he gets older.
So it is a corner for Manchester United in front of the rapidly emptying Stretford end. Here it is to the near post, comes off a Manchester City head. Kovacic actually headed it away. Reguilon on loan from Tottenham heads it back in for Manchester United. The ball bounces up. In fact, there's an offside flag up, and it's a free kick to Manchester City inside their own half. So City will take this. The lines are open for 606 08 085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 5 Live tonight, once we wrap things up here and talk about the wins today for Everton and for Aston Villa and for Liverpool, who were up into 3rd place in the table for the duration of this match, but Manchester City will knock them down a place again with this victory. So it'll be Tottenham 26 points, Arsenal with 24, and Manchester City with 24 behind Arsenal on goal difference. And Manchester City with 3 goals, perhaps a little surprisingly, coming into the matches this weekend. 6 of the teams in the Premier League had scored more goals than Manchester City this season in the league. As Garnacho can't keep the ball in, and it's a throw into Manchester City 10 yards inside their own half. Still, Pep Guardiola's wanting more from his players down there. Foden walks past with the look of a man who's heard this from Guardiola once or twice in the past before, as Walker takes the throw back towards Diaz, who will pass it back to his goalkeeper Ederson. Passes it out to Rodri, who has a look over his shoulder, and now Kyle Walker lifts it over the top of Garnacho, and then Diaz wins a throw-in off the Argentine international, throwing Walker back to his goalkeeper Ederson, who slips as he plays it out towards Guardiola, who was already advancing towards the halfway line. Just has to cut back because Diogo Dalot forced him to do that. Now in the centre circle, here's Rodri and Bernardo Silva. Fernandes in front of him. 4 minutes of added time. The crowd, by the way, as well, just over 73,500, 73,502 inside Old Trafford for this derby match, being won comprehensively really by Manchester City. Here's Foden again as they look for a 4th goal. Cheers from the Manchester City supporters now. The Olays begin. That'll rub it in for the Manchester United fans who are still inside the ground. Rodri, John Stones, Bernardo Silva. Garnacho is beaten to it by Rodri, who tries to pick out a pass to Doku on the far side, but he can't. It's headed away. And Manchester United with Anthony still halfway inside his own half, but runs into Kovacic, and Manchester City have been able to win the ball back. And the Olays will begin again. So 3 minutes of added time to be played. John Stones, then back towards Diaz, and then Doku, first chance for him. Let's see what he does here against McTominay. Just as you said, Chris, he's taking on McTominay down the line, but then does cut back, gives it to Kovacic, but Doku available in the full-back position. 2 Manchester United men with him. Doku Anthony had just had a swipe at him with his left foot. Now Anthony is standing in front of Doku, who protests about the challenge. I mean, he just had a swing at him with his foot, and that's a yellow card for him.
Yeah, you got to yell it. Look, I mean,
that was ridiculous from Anthony.
It is.
I mean, Doku had beaten him, and as he moved away, he just had a swing at him with his left foot.
It's a silly yellow card, isn't it? I mean, they're obviously frustrated Man United because Manchester City, showing their class. Oh, I mean, it's a terrible tackle, that.
Terrible. Really poor. And Doku wagged his finger at Anthony, and Anthony took a couple of swipes with his hands at Doku's wagging finger. But I mean, Anthony, he's not in the team today. He's brought on for the final minutes. It looks petulant. Well, it is petulant. Here's Doku down into the full-back position. He's beaten his man. He's into the penalty area. He takes on Mount. Mount tries to recover, and he eventually smuggles it behind for a corner to Manchester City in the penultimate minute of added time. And there's a yellow card being shown in there as well, I think. Is that Bruno Fernandes?
Yes.
Something he said.
Yeah, shock.
Corner for Kovacic to take. And Erling Haaland, he's alive to this. He's got the hat-trick opportunity. Taken short, Doku has a little step over, then plays it back centrally. And then Bernardo Silva drives one in left-footed. That's cleared away by Mount. Comes out to Kovacic. He shoots. That's blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Double deflection. Bounces for Johnny Evans, who has conceded a free kick. Yeah, I think it was Rodri who was trying to get to it, and the two of them just came together in a big tangle. And I think he's got that right. Free kick.
Yeah, definitely.
Manchester City.
Yeah, he wrestled him to the floor. And then Maguire kicks the ball about 80 yards down the field with the goalkeeper Edison is just thinking, I'll leave that.
And he's
getting out of hand a little bit this game now.
Yeah, it is. Manchester City, they've just got to keep their heads here. There's no need for them to get involved in this. Winning the derby match 3-0 at Old Trafford. And referee Tierney, Phil Foden's come across to say something. Doku as well. And actually a number of players are gathered around the referee. Bruno Fernandes has been called over. Anthony's there again, having just been yellow carded. Kyle Walker, as the Manchester City captain, has been spoken to. And I think Paul Tierney is probably saying to them exactly what you're saying, Chris. It's in danger of needlessly boiling over here, and he's just trying to put a lid on it, the referee.
Yeah, the players have just got to get on with it. They've got what? We're stopping it, probably a couple of minutes of that, and the game's over.
So it is a free kick to Manchester City, and we haven't got a ball because Ederson's left that ball where Chris Waddle said it was, near the edge of his own penalty area, and he's almost in the centre spot. And this game is just fizzling out now in the Manchester rain. Manchester City won't care about that. Phil Foden comes across from some instructions from Pep Guardiola. Manchester United.
What's the goalie doing?
He's actually knocked the ball back into his own penalty area. Right. Finally, it's been played downfield. And referee Tierney. We've had all of this time, and still Manchester United.
Haaland fancies it.
He does. Well, this is best part of 25 yards. So there's a real brains trust for this one, in that Haaland, Kovacic, Diaz, Bernardo Silva, Doku, and they're now leaving the way for Erling Haaland with a free kick that could bring him his hat-trick, and he hammers it into the wall, which is about 7 yards away from the pole. And that was a most undistinguished end to the match, to this Manchester derby that was comprehensively won by Manchester City and Pep Guardiola's team. And he turns, his old colleague Eric Ten Hag walks across. There's a quick handshake between the two of them, but Manchester City's day in the Manchester rain in the derby match. 2 goals from Haaland. The first, a controversial penalty, it must be said, awarded by VAR, but 2 goals for Haaland, and then he provided the third one for Phil Foden. Manchester City, 8 wins out of 10 in the Premier League for the defending champions this season.
I've got to say, best team won by miles. It was no contest for me. Man United had the odd couple of occasions, but let's be honest, 88 minutes of this game's been Man City, and thoroughly deserved it. Man United will be pleased it's only 3. Could have been a lot more. The difference between the two sides is absolutely massive. Man United need to have a clear out and get new players in. It just shows you how good Man City are today.
Yeah, and this is really a matter of matches. 10 matches into the new season after there was so much hope last season, winning the Carabao Cup, getting back into the Champions League. But it doesn't look, it's not a good look for Manchester United, really being toyed with by Manchester City. And that is now, to underline this domination, this recent domination, that is a 5th defeat in 6 matches for United against City in all competitions. They've lost what is it now, 5 of their first 10 matches of the season. That's not happened since the late 80s, since Ron Atkinson was about to lose his job as the Manchester United manager from the start of a season. And it's Manchester City players who are celebrating in the corner of Old Trafford with their supporters in the stands. Final score, Manchester United 0, Manchester City 3. And Steve Crossman is here with us inside the stadium.
And Erling Haaland is just beneath the commentary position here. He's the master of ceremonies. He's conducting the orchestra. When Phil Foden scored his goal, he rolled out his hand and said, "Off you go, you slide," in front of the Manchester City fans. And just now, he's pushed Rodri forward to take the acclaim of those City supporters. Right now, he's bouncing up and down, punching his fist in the air. Actually, the first thing that happened on the full-time whistle is 4 or 5 Manchester United players went over to remonstrate with the officials. And I know, Chris Waddle, there was controversy about the penalty when it was 0-0, but those Manchester United players only really need to look at themselves, don't they?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you've got to say they're not good enough. They're not good enough. If this is the level they want to be, they're miles away. Because as I said earlier in the commentary, there's not one player I would swap into a blue shirt. You know, honestly, I don't see it. People may say Marcus Rashford or somebody else. Not on what he's playing at the minute, not what I've saw today. There's not one player to get there. Even the City subs coming on, you still think, are they good enough? Yes, they are. If, you know, this is a team, this is a level which we've not seen for a long, long time. And to beat these, you've got to play very, very well.
Pep Guardiola is just having a discussion with Erling Haaland, and Haaland there just sort of is hitting himself in the face, almost to say, with his second header, he just let the ball hit him. And that was, Chris, something I noticed actually. He had the chance in the first half, Haaland. He tried to put everything behind it, and Onana saved. But how clever was that second one? It was so deft. It was almost like he learned from the moment in the first half.
Well, they are talking about it now, look how he should head it. I can't remember watching Guardiola ever had the ball, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, listen, the second one he knew, he just had to head it and it was in. The first one, he tried to put so much power in it. If he heads it down, it's a goal. He didn't, he headed it at the keeper, which is a great save. I'm not saying it's not, but he should score. And he learned his lesson from that.
It's so funny, John, because he is so intense, Pep Guardiola, and especially with Erling Haaland, they're still going at it.
I think there's a bit of theatre going on here as well, yes, at the Theatre of Dreams, in that, you know, I think they know, yeah, I mean, it's obviously a proper footballing conversation between coach and player, but they know where they're doing it, and they know very much that the focus of the cameras in the stadium are sending these pictures all around the world. And it's a little bit like, actually, if you remember the night before the Champions League final in Istanbul, when we were there on full show, when Guardiola was all over Haaland for the whole of the hour that we were there. I mean, it was fascinating to watch the two of them talking about, you know, Guardiola clearly telling Haaland how he wanted him to play in the Champions League final. So there's two sides to it.
Absolutely, it's theatre for Guardiola, but you can tell it sort of riles up Haaland a little bit as well, Chris, because he's sort of shrugging his shoulders almost to say, well, I did score.
I think with Guardiola, he demands it off every player. It's, you know, and he wants to see them improve. He wants to see a level, a standard, week in, week out. He wants consistency, and that's what wins you the league. That's what wins you the cups. That consistency. It's not about having one great performance and saying coming here and winning like you did, then getting beat the next game. He wants that consistency every week. And if they play like that, what we saw today every week, they will win the league, and they probably will win the double and the treble, whatever again. But, you know, to play that level of football, but I think Man United made it very easy for them today.
08085 909 693. The lines are open for 606 for the next.